Wow, that kind of got there way earlier than I expected. I was trying to mess with something on my phone. As I always start, peace world. Welcome to some bite down boxing talk. Let's jump right into it. One thing that I wanted to say is boxing really was at the forefront of everything this weekend. I feel um, on all platforms, action on all platforms. Showtime Boxing, ESPN Plus, ESPN, the Zone, Showtime Championship Boxing, and in the midst of all of this, I'm kind of saddened to hear that that's the end of and it's kind of something to think about, but it's the end of the bubble for Top Rank at the MGM Grand inside the Grand Conference Center. You know, they had that last night's main event. Berchelt and Oscar Valdez was building for over a year, or at least a year. And after that, now that that's over and ended in the way that the fashion that it did, what is Top Rank gonna do? And what fights do they start to put on the calendar? We already haven't seen a whole lot from what is everybody gonna do? Also heard on Showtime they were advertising, or not advertising, but kind of branding what's happening, or the environment up at Uncasville, Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun. They were branding that more as the fight sphere. Is there any, I don't know, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't recall if there are any big fights scheduled there moving forward after last night's return of About Billions with Adrian Broner as well as Robert Easter Jr. down at also at super lightweight. So we'll talk about all of those cards. I'm getting this up a little late. I mean, I wanted to go live last night, but my mind was in a bit of was all over the place. It was action on the Zone at 2:00 that ended with the knockout, the stunning knockout by David Avanesian, the European welterweight champion, EBU belt. That was I wouldn't say it was a damn good fight, but that was a pretty good fight. I had a lot of us were keeping an eye on Josh Kelly and David Avanesian. We'd seen him before, and it started out one way, ended the other. Got out of that one, got right into the ESPN Plus card. Saddened to see that Philadelphia heavyweight Sonny Canto, I don't know what the hell happened to his fight. I was also disappointed that the kid Brian Lua from the West Coast, I think he's in Robert Garcia's boxing academy or whatever they call it in Oxnard. His fight didn't go down. I can't remember if that was COVID or not. But he didn't fight. I wanted to see him again. I think that was it for that card. And then over on at the Fight Sphere, you know, the Rashid Warren, he got a victory. His fight wasn't televised, but he was also featured heavily in the coverage that Gerald Tucker provided of the About Billions camp as they were getting ready for ready for this card. One interesting thing on that is that I don't know what was going on. I know there was some shuffling of the opponent for Adrian Broner, but Showtime just kind of got away from whatever, its advertisement of its fight. And maybe they could do it because of who was in the main event, but they didn't officially like announce the fight until like a week and a half out or something like that. Robert Easter Jr. wasn't included on much of the ads for it or the promotion of it. And then the Wednesday night card that they had on Showbox, there was very little heads up given for that one. And it was like the fights just arrived on us all of a sudden. So, but anyway, man, we got to fight night, and I enjoyed the Saturday. I got a few write-ups out there at www.bitedownboxing.com. Check those out. I haven't gotten around to my write-up for the Broner fight. No disrespect to AB and his win. It was a lot to cover, and it's 2 platforms. And I was messing around with the Showtime press conferences. I got in a couple of questions, but going back and forth, man, my mind got a little bit out of sorts. I had to be honest. And then also doing the write-ups. I mean, I can only be stretched so thin. I really can only be stretched so thin. So I was trying. But anyway, like I said, man, check me out over at bitedownboxing.com. Some write-ups over there, some photos, a couple of quotes, so on and so forth. Getting into the cards, man, I guess I'll start with so I'm gonna get into my bite down boxing performer or fighter of the week. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? That's a no-brainer. The kid over my right shoulder. But let's talk through the cards, starting with the I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on the zone card, but just to start over there and touch on it because it involved it was an exciting fight. But David Avanesian retains his European, what is that, EBU title at welterweight. I mentioned yesterday on the quick recap that I did of it. Avanesian was actually one of the first televised fights that I covered when he came here. I want to say in 2016 to face Lamont Peterson on the undercard of Adrian Broner and Adrian Granados. And so I knew he was durable, but not a whole lot of special effects. And David Avanesian, tough, hard-nosed guy, competitor, pressure guy, big effort, a lot of heart, and, solid chin. Most of us tuned into that one to see kind of, was there any future to pretty boy Josh Kelly or not? And, he came in and rocked Avanesian early. And then Kelly does what my issue has been with him all along. Showboating, looking to show a lot of sauce, dancing around, hands low, poking his chin out at his opponent, taunting him a little bit. And, Avanesian is not really the guy he's not that type of guy that you can do that against, and especially if you're not going to manage your range and make sure that you're not within distance for him to touch you. So I kind of didn't understand what was going on with Josh, but, that's the way he fights and he paid for it. He was bleeding from the back of his head. I think he got caught with the elbow. I'm seeing a lot of elbows lately in boxing, man, with guys using this shoulder roll, this shoulder roll technique and that the shell defense and guys trying to pick off shots with their elbow. That's kind of dangerous, especially if you pick off a jab and the guy's following with his right hand and leading and lunging in or stepping in for that right hand, and your elbow picked off the jab, but now it could come in contact with the other person's head and whatnot. That's kind of a dangerous move. And I saw it a couple of times this weekend, but he was bleeding from the back of his head. He was his confidence swelled after hurting Avanesian, or he stumbled back a couple of feet. But again, with the activity not being there, his jab kind of went away, no consistent body work. And Avanesian just kept grinding it out, chopping away at him. Kelly cuts very easily. And what was that? We get into the 6th round, and he just beat Josh Kelly up, to keep it short. Yeah, 6th round at the 2-minute 15-second mark. Actually, David Booth, the chief second for Josh Kelly, threw the towel in. He'd seen enough. Interestingly, last week we saw Mauricio Lara beat up Josh Warrington. Another guy was like, what, 20 something wins or 30 wins, maybe only 7 knockouts. And that was my question with with Kelly. Like, you want to dance and taunt people and look cocky and all of that type of stuff, but can you hit people and hurt them and get their respect? You know, at least another guy who didn't have a lot of power was Paulie Malignaggi. But Paulie Malignaggi kept moving and feinting and, was always, and he got the hell beat out of him quite a bit because he couldn't keep guys off of him. But, he made it through some of those tough fights. I know he got beat up by Hatton and a couple. I think he got his jaw broken that one. Maybe that was Miguel Cotto. But anyway, man, obviously Eddie Hearn thought he might have had a player at one of the best divisions in boxing, one of the glamour divisions at welterweight. And all of that went down the drain yesterday with that knockout of Josh Kelly. We'll see what happens, whether he bounces back. Another pretty decent fight on there was the Florian Marku. What is he, Armenian? That doesn't sound right. Well, he was a welterweight. He was a stocky ass welterweight. He looked thick as hell on TV. Florian Marku stopped Ryland Charlton in the 8th round after being dropped himself from a left hook in the 6th round. Charlton's corner threw in the towel in that one. Jordan Gill, a featherweight, fought Cesar Juarez. That one wasn't so bad. I've seen Jordan Gill a couple times. He was another one that Matchroom Boxing was pretty excited about. And he's 25 and he's 25-1. I guess he improved to 26-1. That fight was okay. Speaking of Lara going over to over there last week for the Warrington fight, they also had this card had Gabriel Valenzuela on there, and he won a majority decision over Robbie Davies Jr. Some of these fights I snooze through, man. But like I said, I don't mind checking out some of the Euro guys, just to watch some boxing and get a different flavor of what's going on in the game. So that fight was okay. Valenzuela, I guess he was promised that if he got through that fight, he'd get a date on the upcoming. That's a quick turnaround. But he get a date on maybe that was for the May 8th Canelo fight. Canelo told him he'd hold him a spot on an upcoming card if he got through that. So maybe he meant the one after Yildirim. Maybe that's what I heard. Let's get over to this Showtime card. Like I said, the Rush fight was not televised. He defeated Sharon Carter by 10-round unanimous decision. Let's see. Valine and the heavyweights, Valine and Dominic Breazeale. Man, Breazeale it's probably done for Breazeale. He looked like he didn't want to be there, especially once his face started getting beat up a little bit. It was a long night for him. Never really came out with any movement or any good movement. Just not a whole lot positive to say about him other than the fact that he was durable as hell. He made a bit of a run later in the fight. To leave Hunter to go to Abel Sanchez. Sanchez is not one who schools anybody in movement, agility, changing levels, feinting, anything slick whatsoever. So to go with him, maybe not the best choice. And even with him talking about running, getting in some road workout in Big Bear and all of that everything just went out the window once he started getting hit. I didn't even really take any notes from this one because I was looking at the Gabriel Flores Jr. fight on ESPN. I was just keeping an eye on this one out of the side of my eye, or out of the side of my vision, and it just it's kind of hard to get a little excited about. Too much more excited about Otto Valine. He gets the victory. see, he gets the victory and whatnot, but it's not like he's just another guy in the circling the top 15 or whatever for the heavyweight division. I guess the one thing about heavyweight, man, is that the belts are all tied up and will be tied up for the foreseeable future. So what do some of these guys do? I mean, it's a ton of good matchups to be made. But other than the guys who need a good opponent to really solidify themselves in the top 5, we're just not going to see a lot of these guys face one another in all likelihood. I did see something where Bacoli was Hergovich was trying to make a fight with Martin Bacoli. I wouldn't mind that fight. Obviously, a Michael Hunter is a guy I want to see more. We see Deontay Wilder calling out who he'd like to face and whatnot. Easy fights for him. He could pick 2 or 3 guys and it would be a great fight. So that's good news. But like I said, with the belts tied up with potentially 2 fights between AJ and Fury, what are some of these guys doing? How will they stay active? But Wallin, not the most powerful guy. That's the thing that's going to work against him. Breazeale did rock him a couple of times late when he made a bit of a rally. But Wallin was landing that overhand left, his power hand, as him being a southpaw. And, to see him catching a guy like Breazeale flush like that a number of times and not getting a knockdown, just kind of, he's a jag, basically, just another guy. And I don't even mean that in the most disrespectful way or dismissive way, but he's with that type of power and some of the guys that we see out there, everybody's not going to be as manageable as Dominic Breazeale. Hopefully Breazeale takes gives a lot of strong consideration to hanging it up. I don't know what else he can get finished. He's been in there against the two against AJ as well as Wilder. If you want to say anything, I mean, he did come back from a devastating knockout, an embarrassing knockout to Deontay Wilder. I can't say that he accounted himself or gave a good account of himself, but he did come back from it. And, maybe that's just too much to, to resume after that type of blow. Maybe it's just too much. And he like I said, man, if you look at a guy's face and it's full of frustration from the second and third round on, like don't just keep taking a check to go in there. But he has kids, you know what I'm saying? He has kids, he has mouths to feed. This is what his life is. I would imagine he probably fights again, but who knows? He's just a lower level guy, to be passed around and fed to people at this point. So hopefully there's some other alternatives for him to move forward. Getting into Robert Easter Jr. and Ryan Martin, this was one of the fights that I really wanted to see this weekend. I said it before, man, not to inject race into it, senselessly or whatever, but we rarely see 2 black fighters face one another. So I wanted to see how these guys would match up. But Ryan Martin just doesn't have a lot to offer moving forward. Hate to say it, but he didn't seem to be able to couldn't box with Robert Easter Jr., who was very sharp with his jab, and pretty much set the tone, took control of the fight with his jab. And then adding in whatever he wanted to follow up the jab with. I really would have liked to have seen him. He did sit down maybe in the 4th through 6th round, somewhere in there. He really sat down and did like a double jab, right hand combination that really snapped the head of Martin. But you can see it was a constant back and forth between him and his father, as well as Mike Stafford in there as well, about just winning the fight. And he was one that I got a couple questions into in the post-fight press conference. He was, he had been out of the ring since October 2019. So to come back and have that type of performance, control a guy like that, just rely on your fundamentals all night, punish the guy when he did make mistakes. I mean, boxing was really solid. Boxing was really on display this weekend if you looked at a lot of these fights. Obviously, we had the big knockout with Oscar Valdez and Miguel Berchelt, but a lot of these other fights featured a lot of solid boxing. Even excellent boxing from Valdez to set up those knockdowns and that knockout. But Robert Easter Jr. just stuck to his fundamentals, and sometimes you can keep it that easily. The only thing that happened to him was he suffered the first cut of his career on a headbutt or clash of heads, and that's what happens when you beat up a guy and handling for 10 or 12 rounds. That was interesting too that they let both of these fights, Easter and Martin, as well as Adrian Broner and Santiago. It was interesting that both of those fights were 12 rounders versus 10 with no types of titles whatsoever on the line. But shout out to them for doing that. Like I said, Robert Easter Jr. being out of the ring, 14 months, 15 months or whatever. And then Adrian Broner being out for 2 years or more. Shout out to those guys for adding in those championship rounds. But Martin, you can see his corner was frustrated as hell with him, following the guy around all night, getting peppered with the jab, getting beat up with the right hand, getting punished to the body, and not just unable to change up the fight at any point with just a big rally. I was kind of shocked. There was some history between those guys with Martin being born in Akron, Ohio, Easter Jr. from Toledo, Ohio. And then we get down to my main question out of this fight, with Easter Jr. earning a unanimous decision, 118-110 on 2 cards, and then 117-111. I respect the confidence. I respect stating his outlook of what he wants to do next. But honestly, man, and I think I might have touched on it. But with the belts being over, both of the belts being with 2 guys over on top rank, like what do the PBC, what do him and Adrian Broner do? So to just say, I want whoever got them belts, I want them MFN belts, blah, blah, blah. Like, how do you get to that? What's the road to that? PBC doesn't have they don't have a lot of bodies at 135 and 140. They just don't. And then to make matters even worse or more complicated is the guy whose banner you under, Adrian Broner, former 4-division champion, with him coming back and attempting to settle down at 140. What can both of these guys, what moves can both of these guys make towards the same end? We know, obviously, somebody asked would they fight each other. One of the people in the press conference was a dumb question, a waste of a question. But of course they wouldn't fight each other. But how do both of these guys move forward in a division where you just kind of sitting there? But a good performance from him, man, a good win. Good to see him after coming out of that fight with Rances Barthélemy, which was a stinker, his last fight at lightweight, getting into somewhat of a shootout with Adrian Granados at 140 in his last fight in October 2019. It was good to see him, like I said, just look good. Just get out there, look good, look confident, look sharp. And make a statement. That's what one of my questions was. Do you think that the way that the belts are situated, all of the young faces at 140, I did an article over on roundbyroundboxing.com maybe a month and a half ago about all the guys under 25 at 140. One of them lost in Baltimore's Malik Hawkins. He got knocked out by Subriel Matias, who's another guy at 140, I think, who's current. He might be on the PBC side. I wouldn't see Easter Jr. wanting that fight. I wouldn't see Broner wanting that fight with Matias. Not to say they can't beat him, but what's the upside in facing a guy like him? But The only guy that was over 25 was Shojahan Ergashev. I think he might be out of Turkey. But he's another guy at 140. You have Julian Rodriguez at 140. Zapata is at 140. Had a knockout one. I don't know if he won knockout of the year, but he was a candidate for knockout of the year with the defeat over Berchelt. Obviously, Jose Ramirez, the unified champion at 140, as well as Josh Taylor are both at 140. I can't think of the other two guys that I had on that list, but it's a lot of names there. And like I said, it's a way for Top Rank to pass the belts around to in-house fighters before Broner or Bunny can even, take a crack at those. So what do? Let's get over to that main event, man. Broner and Santiago. I don't really have much criticism from Broner for this fight. I think one thing that may be overlooked is the fact that Broner is a guy that's into entertainment, over the top ring walk, usually accompanied by a rapper or he's rapping himself. I think that had to have, and he was kind of vocal about not being a fan of all of the protocol and no fans and no media at the press conferences leading up to the fight or during fight week. He wasn't a fan of much of that. Maybe that affected him coming out and starting when he was outworked, significantly by Santiago, possibly. But I think going down the stretch, class over time, class shows over time. And I think that's what Santiago ran into. He was just not the sharper puncher. His body work went away. And I thought he fought dirty as hell over the final 4 or 5 rounds. And I actually kind of got to tip my hat to Adrian Broner for it, really overlooking a lot of the low blows with the left hook. You saw his trunks knocked up several times. Mercanti reached in there and pushed him down one time for him, but it was several times that the man's trunks were raised up. He had that gladiator flap thing, and there's a couple times that was up it, you could see the underside of it. And Mercanti never said anything to Santiago, who was just trying. He was just trying to make an effort of it. He was just trying to make contact. And Mercanti, as much as he told Adrian Broner to shut up in the fight and to quit talking, he didn't really get on Santiago about the low blows. I didn't like that. Secondly, I kind of lost interest in this fight after the 4th round with what Mercanti did with deciding to deduct the point from Santiago. I didn't really have a dog in this fight. So it's not that I wanted Santiago to win. It's not that I cared for Adrian Broner to win. I wanted to see the fight play out without outside interference. And for Mercanti to bring together the two fighters after the low blows, yes, Santiago's punch was very late. Yes, it was. But both guys threw blows after the round. But you bring the two guys together and settle it. And then you let the guys go to their corners. And then you come back before the 5th round and you stop you pause the clock and bring Santiago over to the center of the ring and deduct a point. I didn't really like that, especially in what was looking like it was going to be a competitive fight. I didn't like that. You either did it, you should have done it after you separated them or brought them together to straighten it out. You should have either did it then, or you should have just let it go. And it wasn't like it did happen a couple times after that round. And you could have taken a point away there. But prior to that, there hadn't been any stern warning. I just didn't like in a close fight. I just didn't like that became something to go back to over the next 6 or 7 rounds. We'll remember that 1 point deduction. keep that 1 point deduction in mind. Remember back in round 5 where they took that point. That was all we heard. Lastly, the fight was kind of a shit show. In between the talking and the fouling, the talking from Broner, the fouling from Santiago, whatever the hell Abner Mares was talking about, but Farhood and Al Bernstein didn't even know how to cover up his bias. He just said the hell with it. Like, I came in here with my card already filled out, with my opinion already made up, and he just talked in circles. And no matter how AB's jab was taking over the fight and his counter punching, the check left hook, the step back left hook, and how he was physically, controlling Santiago the last 4 or 5 rounds, with the exception of the 12th round, he was saying he was on some commentary that didn't match up with what I was watching. Broner was touching the man up and doing the better work, and Bernstein was still sticking in, sticking in Wage that round to Santiago. Based on what? He was hitting a lot of AB's gloves. AB was countering him. When he wasn't countering him, he was out jabbing him. And the dude just, he was clearly being outclassed. Now I understand it was a huge disparity in power shots for the we're looking at the fight in totality. But if you go round by round, all of Santiago's effectiveness, clean and effective punching, effective aggression, all of that went away after the 6th and 7th round. It was gone. He did come out, even in the 12th round, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of punches being thrown, but he wasn't landing cleanly. And, Broner was just boxing his way to a decision in his mind. I was a little, I did think it was, even the way that Bernstein dismissed it being a knockdown, potentially being a knockdown in the 8th, when he buckled Santiago. I don't think it was a knockdown, but Bernstein he went out of his way to declare it not a knockdown. So I don't know what the hell was going on with them. I'm not so I don't have so much discussed in what I saw from Farhood's card. I feel like he scored the fight as he would score most fights. And maybe he saw some of the action in favor of we heard AD cuss him out after the fight. He was aware that Farhood had Santiago winning the fight by 1 point, and he gave him a piece of his mind. But then AB was yelling at the table. That was getting into the that was bleeding over into the audio, into the commentary. And the fight got noisy and messy to me. And then, like I said, all of the fouling, all of the talk, all of the talk in AB's corner between him and his Coach Stafford and whatnot. It was just a messy fight to me. I didn't think the unanimous decision was going to be that wide. 116, 111. 115, 112 from Glenn Feldman, and Peter Harry had it 117, 110. I didn't think it was going to be that wide, but again, they ruined the fight for me. The commentary, and I thought that was unfortunate. If you're personally done with the Adrian, and the weird thing is this: I talked to Farhood at this fight, and after Broner fought Jesse Vargas, they did a card down in Louisville at the Yum Center, and I went down to it to cover that one, and I was sitting right behind those guys ringside, and I talked with Farhood. I had Jesse Vargas winning the fight against AB. I had him edging it out. I wouldn't have, but I predicted it was going to be a majority draw. That's the one time I've ever said majority draw, and that's what the card was, or the decision. But I gave that fight to Jesse Vargas, and he actually gave that. I thought he said it was a draw, but he had that fight for Adrian Broner winning by a point. But now a few years later, like if all of you guys have checked out of the Adrian Broner About Billions business, I mean, I understand that, but then you still have a job to do. You know, and I think Bernstein may have been cussed out by I think maybe there was a confrontation, a verbal altercation between those two guys before a couple of fights ago. I think Bernstein did a maybe before Pacquiao, but I think they had Bernstein do a some kind of media avail or a sit down or something. And as he tried to go between Pacquiao and Broner cussed him out. And Bernstein really just didn't, that's not his culture clash. And I think from that, I think he held on to that while he was judging that fight the other night, or last night. I really do. And I don't think that was a good look for him. After the fight, that's the question. The one thing that I can say, I was critical of, I was disappointed in Broner talking down the Regis Prograis fight, because the fact is this: being that you are, and when you're introduced, being that we say that you're a former 4-division world champion, whether you like it or not, 31 years old, you can't come out here and tell us that your goal is to be 5-time world champion. And you can't say that I'm going to take the boxing world over. And then us that follow this sport week to week, like I just laid out what the championship picture is at 140. Keep in mind, he didn't even make it down to 140 for this fight. Similarly to what happened in 2016 against Adrian Granados when they changed the weight fight week. I'm not really knocking him for that, for the simple fact there was no title on the line. Whatever they had to do financially to make this fight happen with the new weight class, hey, that happens. But you can't come out here and talk all of this different stuff. And another thing that I hear a lot of people say, it's a lot of channels that say that titles don't mean anything. These championships don't mean shit. Okay, so if that's the truth, then Adrian Broner versus Regis Prograis is one of the best fights that can be made as super lightweight. It just is. Even with the two unified champions of Josh Taylor and Ramirez. But a couple of weeks ago, when Adrian Broner just completely dismissed the fight, that was a turnoff for me. That was off-putting for me. But he came back on this one and really, I think it was Keith Idec in the post-fight press conference. He asked him about it. And I feel his answer, you know. I mean, if you're going to talk your shit, then that's one thing. And I think AB left it at, you know, Regis is doing what he's supposed to do. But if we do get in the ring, I'm going to F him up. That's way better for me, following how I'm following it. That's way better for me than to just sit here and say that the fight doesn't make sense whatsoever. Because like I said, until those belts move and either become vacant or vacated, or there's some kind of independent guy who gets one of those titles somehow, until that happens, there is no path for Adrian Broner to become a five-time champion, 5-division, because he hasn't won a title at 140 pounds. So again, you know, if titles don't mean anything, the best fight that you can make is Regis Prograis. Now I saw somebody attaching pay-per-view to that fight. I wouldn't pay no money for that. I wouldn't pay any money for that. Especially with a guy who we don't know if he can make 140. And I'm imagining that's where, I mean, there would be, honestly, there would be some flexibility there if they chose to make that fight and it became a matter of setting it at 144 or whatever. They could do that because again, there's no titles on the line. But the thing is, the one frustrating thing, a lot of especially a lot of brothers that talk boxing, a lot of these channels, like, they don't give a shit about details. Some of the fight talk I heard this week about Broner and his future and what he's deserved, what he's owed, who shouldn't be calling him out. Again, in the meantime, between time, like, you got to make meaningful fights. We can't sit here. I mean, we don't sit here and watch you go life and death with the Jovanie Santiagos of the world. I don't have any interest in that. So, if your name is your name and it means what it means, you got to go out here and care about the B side that you're facing. Just don't totally disrespect my interest in boxing and my awareness of what's going on and why all of this shit week to week is important to me. Don't sit here and piss on my leg and tell me it's rain, and you just throw another Latino fighter in front of him who we've never seen before. Because you started seeing the reality in this fight going down. Like I said, class shows over time, and you saw that Santiago didn't have any answers late. Just try harder. His own corner told him, just go out there and we need an effing knockout. But there was, it wasn't like he was going to be able to somehow make it happen after he had lost control of the fight for the last 4 or 5 rounds, that he was going to make it happen. But anyway, like I said, with Broner saying, entertaining the fight potentially with Regis Prograis, what else did he come over to the PBC for? What other great business is over there? I think Broner did dismiss Mario Barrios, who has the WBA regular title. You may not want a regular title. I get that. You might not see Barrios, but at least I've seen Barrios before. I don't know if he really should have that title at this point, coming off the fight with Akhmadaliev or Akhmadov. It's 2 or 3 of them that all had the same name, but I know Akhmadov, I think Akhmadov, but they still haven't ran that fight back either. But I will watch Mario Barrios against Regis Prograis or Adrian Broner. Like I said, you gotta give me somebody who I've had eyes on before, and the fight has to mean something to me well ahead of fight week for me to be interested in it. I cut you some slack with this Santiago shit because you coming off a 2-year layoff. I was even gonna rock with the campus fight. I didn't really know who he was, but I understood the situation. But he was adamant after the fight that he wanted to be back in the ring in the next 4 to 5 months, hoping to get 3 fights this year, which we know that's really not. We know how implausible that is. And we got Michigan and Ohio State getting ready to start. I'm gonna have to get to this fighter of the week and get on off of here so we can whip this ass, since we can't touch him on the gridiron. So that's the question. Like, what can he do until there is a way to get to the titles? Also, I'm not all that hard on the 140 situation with him not making weight. Again, don't look at some of us sideways because, again, the way that we grasp the situation, he's kind of teetering on being in that same situation as damn, can't even think of my man's name. Corrales. That was one of the first, in my knowledge of boxing and my history with it, Corrales was one of the first fighters who got in between weights. And we saw what happened to him. After that last beating that Chico Corrales took, he ended up dead, wilding out on his motorcycle or whatever. And we already know that Broner has his issues and battles his demons away from the sport. But welterweight just doesn't look like an area where he can really thrive or excel. So I understand that he came down from 30. He said 35. It might have been 45. It may have been 50. But okay, let me give him another pass here. He did say that, you know, there were, and we've heard this. We just saw this with my man from over on Golden Boy, Joseph Diaz. It's not the same equipment available to these fighters on fight week with the saunas and whatnot. And losing those last couple of pounds for some of these guys, David Benavidez, we've seen a couple of these guys fail to get that off because they can't, and you got to stay in your room. You know, these guys can't even get out and go, like if you don't arrive at the camp on weight, I mean, if you don't arrive at fight week and the fight sphere or the bubble, you know, whatever location you're going to, if you don't arrive there on weight, it could be tough for you. It could be tough for you. So it was some valid reasons, in my opinion, of why he didn't get down to 140. And we'll see. We'll see. Let's get over to this. Let's get over to this ESPN card, the ESPN Plus action. Really quickly, like I said, I don't know what the hell happened to Sonny Canto. You know, watching Jared Anderson develop over the last year, plus his last fight against Kingsley eBay or EB. I'm gonna go with eBay. I've been looking forward to seeing Sonny Canto, top ranks other U.S. heavyweight. Like I said, out of Philadelphia, he was scheduled to fight. I saw a weigh-in picture, and then the shit just went away. No update whatsoever on that. Also, like I said earlier, Matt, I was a little angry and disappointed that the Brian Lua kid, I think he's either lightweight or super or junior lightweight. His fight went away. I was looking forward to seeing him in the ring again. We saw the middleweight fight between Esquiva Falcoa against Artur Akavov. That one ended really early in the fourth round. Akavov said his nose was broken and basically retired. What else was on there? I ain't gonna go through this whole card. Xander Zayas, welterweight out of, what is he, 18, 19 years old, against James Martin out of Philadelphia. Again, great boxing from Zayas. He stopped 5 of 6 of his opponents. He improved to 7-0. Great job boxing, man. Just his range management for a young guy, his sharp combination punching, his ring IQ, you know, being able to be aggressive and attack aggressively without endangering himself and giving Martin. Martin did land some short shots inside. He would land when he was pressed, but standing at mid-range and outside, he was just, he did a lot of waiting and looking. And just got beat up by Zayas, who was landing, you know, he kind of seized control of the fight with his left hook to the body over the first couple of rounds. Martin, you know, I think he wasted his opportunity, you know, but, you know, again, what can I say when, you know, the guys in the ring on the big stage and, you know, a guy's just better than you, you know? The kid Martin was just 6-0 or 6-1 going into the fight. And, you know, he just got beat by the better fighter. But Zayas, you know, he was in camp sparring with Adrian Broner and somebody and probably Robert Easter Jr. as well, maybe. So, and he's going places. I mean, the kid looks pretty good. I think he's 5'10 and a half or something. Just looks to be really well schooled. He's a Puerto Rican native, but I think he lives and trains down in Florida and whatnot. I like the attitude on the kid. I did think he was going to press Martin and try to get him out of there at one point, but he just stayed smart, stayed sharp, got the victory. I was impressed with he won all 6 rounds on all 3 cards. Elvis Rodriguez, I was interested in watching him come back for another performance inside the bubble. He's been stopping everybody. came into the fight at 10-0-1 with 10 knockouts. And this Luis Alberto Veron out of Argentina, I was impressed by him. He stepped to Rodriguez from the first bell, had that irky-jerky style, box. Again, great boxing. He could have very easily been knocked out. He took some good shots. He changed levels. He was in and out. He feinted a lot. He worked his way inside behind his jab. He jabbed to the body. And when he needed to be tough, he as Rodriguez went to continue his knockout streak, he just took his shots. I can't say that Elvis Rodriguez showed any areas like he has these glaring deficiencies. Sometimes you just run into a guy who's older, who's durable, and who shows up with a great fight plan and can box. Jayson Velez against the young boy, he did the same thing. He boxed very well until he got stopped. But I didn't come out of that thinking that that's one of those fights where you learn more in the win and being tested and being pushed and the guy surviving against you or doing somewhat well against you, just not well enough to win rounds. You learn some more in those experiences than just sparring and being in the gym. And, you get a sense of maybe what adjustments you have to make. You go back and watch the film and see where you could have gotten it done or maybe, some opportunities that you missed and whatnot. But I don't think it really hurts, Elvis Rodriguez's trajectory much at all for me. Veron had never been knocked out before. And the dude, he could just box, Sometimes Top Ranks brings in some of these Asians and some of these Latino cats, and they can flat out box. They just can't box well enough to win the fight. The decision for Rodriguez was 78-74, 79-73, and 79-73 on the last card. I thought that was pretty fair. Like I said, it wasn't a horrible fight for the kid. I thought maybe he could have set up his left hand a little bit more, but he got the right uppercuts in there in moments. Right hook to the body, right hook up top. It was just a guy who wasn't there, to get knocked out. And then, that one cat was Omar Rosario, that super lightweight independent fighter who stopped Uriel Villanueva in the second round with that the left hook to the liver. That kid was nice. I'm sure he earned his way back. That was just his third fight. He was on the ESPN Plus portion of the card. I think he might have opened the action up for the night, but he was impressive. You got to consider though. I mean, Villanueva was just his second fight, but Rosario was levels above him. So I'm sure, Top Rank will have him back. I wish I had some kind of jingle or something, to get into this main event and the Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Week. I wish I had some shit I could press over here and some big buildup. I'm not there yet. But the Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Week is definitely Oscar Valdez, man. You got to go back to Teofimo Lopez against Vasily Lomachenko. To see a guy take on a big challenge, go in there and stick to the game plan, execute the game plan, and beat the other guy. I'm going to keep it a buck. I really was not all that familiar. I don't know if I was either at a PBC fight or I was watching a PBC fight or something. I was really not all that familiar with Miguel Berchelt. I think I saw the Sosa fight. I know about the two Vargas fights. And then he had that fight down in Mexico last year. I think I'm trying to think, did the ESPN Plus show that one? But he had the card down there, and I don't even think they really counted that fight. It didn't even like really get sanctioned or something, because his record is 37. It was 37-1 on BoxRec. But when they announced him, he was 38-1 last night at the beginning of the fight. So I don't know what they're gonna do with that fight. It doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things. But I just was really never that impressed with Berchelt. And he really wasn't fighting. He really wasn't fighting, guys for me to be able to connect the dots to really gauge what he was. I saw he was on the top 10 list of some pound for pound, or the pound for pound list of some outlets. I didn't really have him up there because I just hadn't gotten eyes on him and really seen him go through all the paces. So I really wasn't that big on him going into the fight, like he couldn't be beaten. But they just kept telling us how in between styles and blah, blah, blah. And Valdez has to do this. Valdez has to, and Valdez can't. And Valdez's jaw has been in injuries and brawling and all of that shit. And Valdez came in and had the fight of his career and made it look easy. And I don't want to, I don't want to besmirch Berchelt's name and kind of dismiss what the dude is. That was his 7th title defense, I think. It's hard to say what a guy, that he is what I thought he was when you get hurt the way that he got hurt early on in the fight, and for the next several rounds, he just isn't himself. So I still don't know if I've really seen the true Miguel Berchelt. But I never thought he was all that sophisticated of a fighter. I thought he was big as hell, and he was just like a puncher. But it was, I wouldn't say he was rough around the edges, but he wasn't all that versatile to me. And so, they made some notes of him coming in weight drained, possibly. That's not Valdez's fault. Got off to a bit of a slow start. I'll give him that. He was pawing with the jab, not really doing anything meaningful and purposeful with it. But he set up his right hand. He landed a couple right hands early that Valdez took very well. But Valdez was he was on. He was moving well. He was changing levels. Once he got his jab going, when you jab like that, Michigan. When you jab like that with a guy who has 5.5 inches of reach advantage, 2 inches or so of height, and you jab with him that well, he was doing a great job at like counter jabbing him. Like Berchelt's jab would land on his glove, and before Berchelt's jab got back, he was popping him straight up the middle. That's how he bloodied his nose in the second and third round. But his jab was really was having an effect on unexpectedly was having an effect on Berchelt. And it got out of control from there. Then he starts landing left hooks, landed a couple of overhand rights, and again, beautiful boxing. He dropped Berchelt in the 4th. I will agree with Tim Bradley that it was a push with the left hand that caused him to fall back into the ropes. But it was 2 punches that landed in there before that he'd been on roller skates for 25, 30 seconds before that. So I'm not too mad that that the ref missed it, and that it was he was granted it was deemed a technical knockdown, and a 10 count was given, or an 8 count. But I do agree with Tim Bradley there that there was a push. We get back into round 5. There was a left hook at the 2-minute and 40-second mark. He did a great job. Valdez did a great job in rounds 5 and 6 of starting great. Round 8, he started really great in that one and really landed some good shots on the champion, who you expected to recover but never did, because not a lot of head movement out of Berchelt. And again, I think he was so badly impaired from the 4th round on that he couldn't attack the same way. There weren't any feints. There wasn't any head movement. There weren't any angles. And you could tell that he wasn't moving well and wasn't moving naturally the entire time because he'd been rocked. So all he could really do is come forward in straight lines and try to bully the smaller guy. But no uppercuts. I don't think I saw him throw one uppercut the entire fight. When you're trying to walk down a smaller fighter, to not go to the uppercut is just baffling to me. But he was just getting out jabbed. Valdez's fitness, I mean, his cardio was great. He stayed on the move. Every time he got into the ropes or into a corner, he had a solution. He either had an exit or he clinched. I say again, a lot of people don't like clinching and talk about holding and blah, blah, blah. But Floyd was one of the greats in utilizing the clinch to break to offset a fighter's rhythm, to get out of bad spots, and to do it in a manner to where it's really not excessive. It's good boxing. It's good boxing. And that's where if Berchelt can't come in with some feints, short steps back when you go to clinch and then fire that uppercut, draw a guy in. When you can't do none of that and you accept the clinch, you just get clinched. But he always had an exit. He always had a way to escape. There was a big right hand from Berchelt in round 7. And he kind of tried to take he landed that flush right hand on Valdez. And Valdez, every time he did land a big shot, Valdez took it very well. He took all his opening shots very well, his bigger punches. But I think as he was just trying to work his way back into it in the 6th round, in the 7th round, Valdez comes out and had a big start in the 8th round and landed that flurry, or 2 different flurries, I think, at the start of the round, and really undid all of the momentum that Berchelt had just kind of started to regain. And we saw Berchelt was in bad shape in between the rounds. I mean, he was in his corner, just beat up. Probably going through some effects of being weight drained. They said he was 146 on fight night or on fight day. I thought that was pretty interesting. He was following. Then another thing is he's hurt. He's beat up. He's being busted up further. And he's just following Berchelt. What's good, Sheldon Holmes? He's following him around. And again, that's why I know all of the punishment from the from the earlier rounds, he was just there on fumes and just fighting off instinct, because that's all he knows. But you knew what was going to happen. Again, like I said, he was just following Valdez around the ring, burning a lot of energy, getting into the clinches, burning more energy, missing a lot with big shots, trying to mount a big comeback, burning a lot of energy, being weight drained, battling back from COVID, getting rocked early, being outboxed, pressure is setting in. He was already telling his corner that, shit wasn't going right. Hell of a heart from the guy. We get to round 9. There's a knockdown. There was that flurry and I had all of this on bitedownboxing.com. This was one that I wrote up. I'd appreciate if you check me out over there on the website. Those clicks are very important for a number of different reasons. But I do want to show I do bring some levels to the game. I don't just sit in here and recap this shit. I do some typing and some work with the pen as well. But there was that knockdown with the big. That was one of the rare uppercuts from Valdez. wouldn't say it was the only one, but he definitely rocked him with that. That was the significant shot that was in that flurry. And then we get to the end of the round. Berchelt is just, he's lunging, and he'd been out over his front foot quite a bit, chasing and trying to, just following Valdez around. He'd been doing it for 2 or 3 rounds. And at the end of this round, he just happened to be in a flurry where he was throwing a bunch of shots, missing. Valdez rolling and slipping all of the shots, and then just hits him with that left hook that that Berchelt never saw. And we saw, what will be a front runner for a knockout of the year, especially maybe until we get to the 2 little guys coming up on March 13th, I think, unless Canelo knocks the hell out of Yildirim. But Estrada and Chocolatito could be some fireworks in that one. But this will probably be knockout of the year for a while. But he was out, he was out well before he hit the ground. And like I said, no head movement. And at that point, he was just throwing punches because he's programmed to throw punches. But beautiful shot by a beautiful sequence of moves right there. Just going from defense to offense right there. Valdez was with the shit last night. I honestly thought the fighter would get the boxer. Yeah, I did too, Sheldon Holmes, man. I did too. Just a great fight, man. And you know what, man? Some of these fights, it's kind of sad. Even last night with Broner, man, it's kind of sad that these fights, some of these fights are taking place without any fans. I'm kind of with, oh yeah, good call. Hooker and Ortiz. We'll probably get a great knockout in that one as well. You're right. Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty good one. But yeah, man, to think that, and that's a tough job for a champion, man, to not be able to quit. And then when you're known to be a finisher like Berchelt had been, with 37 fights and 33 knockouts, I believe, going into it, his corner is sitting there expecting him to find a way to figure it out at some point, and left him in there. The referee started telling him that I can't sit here and allow you to take much more punishment. But again, at the beginning of the 8th, when he took that flurry from Valdez, some of the shit that was landed earlier in the 9th round, yeah, it was a great night of boxing, man. That's kind of how I opened with, man. I thought of Sheldon Holmes, man. I said that we don't always see a lot of now. That's excluding the heavyweights. That's excluding the lumbering giants. But it was some good boxing. You know what? I just realized it. I didn't really talk about my man, Gabriel Flores and Jayson Velez. So anyway, that's it, man. That was the bite down boxing fighter of the week. Just great boxing, man. Great preparation. Shouts to Eddie Reynoso. I'm excited to see what Reynoso could bring about. That's another fight where we could get a good knockout of the year is possibly Andy Ruiz. The offense that we're seeing from these Reynoso guys with Canelo, with Jesus Martinez, with King Rai, they doing some different stuff, man. I mean, the way that they setting up these punches, walking guys down, the head movement, mixing, going from defense to offense. They doing some good stuff, man. And a lot of us didn't see Valdez being able to do all of this stuff. It was because, Adam Lopez beat the hell out of Valdez for the first 2 or 3 rounds in their fight. He pieced Valdez up pretty nicely. Yeah. Sheldon Holmes, That's a tough one, man. I mean, I think Broner is such a good boxer and just flat out boxing skills. Decent reflexes, knows his way around the ring. Can take a pretty good punch. Broner's fans are so diehard, man. It's one of the fighters that I kind of want to stay away from, because you can't say anything. The unbiased, the people that just like boxing in general, who just rock with boxing in general, and you look at everybody and kind of give your critique, and you just you watch all boxing, you would obviously have some concerns about whatever Broner is at this point, and whatever Broner is against the elite fighters in his division. Like I said, I listened to a conversation. I listened to a live stream the other day about Adrian Broner and what his prospects are moving forward. It's 35 people in the chat, 40 people in the chat, and it's a brother, it's the channel host. And I'm like, the fuck is he talking about? What fighter are all of these cats talking about? Yeah, that shit right there, man. He needs to let his hands go. Like, at some point, when do you believe somebody has shown you who they are? Whether it's gas tank, whether it's just his fighting style, whether it's courage, whether it's not wanting to be embarrassed. Like, I'm not making no excuses for, what if we wouldn't watch the Kansas City Chiefs just run the ball all day? We wouldn't sit here and say, man, when the hell is Mahomes going to throw the ball? Why won't Mahomes throw the ball? Why ain't they letting Mahomes throw the ball? Like, that's what the offense is built on. Or you get in the red zone and you just shoot, you just kicking field goals. Why won't they try to score? Why ain't they attacking the end zone? Why ain't they trying to punch it in? We wouldn't sit here and watch Kevin Durant, James Harden, Steph Curry. We wouldn't just sit here, man. They won't shoot the ball. Why won't they shoot the ball, man? If they would shoot the ball, if they would take their shot. Me too. Me too, Sheldon. Hey, man, let me know if you want to call in and speak on some of this stuff, man. I throw the call-in number up there if you want to weigh in on any of this stuff versus typing. Just let me know. Yeah, I'm with you, man. When I watched the fight against Jesse Vargas, that was a reality. That was a reality too. That's how I saw it. It told me everything I needed to know. You get to a certain point, like when you don't have knockout power, and you don't physically you don't have you don't have those advantages like a Paul Williams or one of the taller, even a Randall Bailey. He ain't do shit with his left hand and just look to lay dudes out with his right hand. And, he made a living for that for a while. But Broner just doesn't really, outside of his toughness, reflexes, being gritty, and not, I would admit that it's probably a part of him that doesn't want to be embarrassed and get knocked out. But he's not head and shoulders above anybody at anything other than just boxing. And if you run into the wrong combination of fighters, that can be defeated. I'll put that number up there, Sheldon. Getting to that, yeah, I did want to touch on that fight with Velez and Gabriel Flores Jr. Another good boxing, man. Excellent boxing. I would have liked to have seen him be a little more aggressive earlier in the fight, but when you get the result, the desired result there in round in the 6th round, it's hard to argue that. But again, if Jayson Velez can have some of that early success against you, it only makes me wonder if you fight a more talented fighter, what would he do against you early on in the fight? He said he was playing with his food, maybe not. Like I said with Josh Kelly, I kept having the same questions about Josh Kelly. Why does his jab go away? Why does he lower his hands and try to? What's good, man? Hello?
Good afternoon, brother.
Hey, what's going on, Sheldon? How you doing, man?
Man, this is my first time ever calling in on any podcast. But I got something to say about Broner, man. And I don't even really sound like a hater, but I'm a fan of boxing. I've been watching boxing since I was a little dude, since I was an adolescent, man. And
where you from, man?
Broner, I'm from Flint, Michigan.
Oh, okay. I think in the past we said something about Michigan or something, so I thought so. But yeah, what do you want to say about Broner?
Man, look, Broner then balled and drank and party. His natural gifts, they go in the shreds. That's why he can't let his hands go. And I understand, everybody want to support, we want to support our brothers, man. But man, I'm telling you, with Broner, I just don't see it, man. He's fighting for money right now. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I ain't trying to like just shit on him, you know what I'm saying? But Broner can't make 140. I'm telling y'all that right now. He can't make 140. It's not going to happen. It's going to be some catch weight shit. Because he go to 140, he gonna probably get knocked out. He know how to stand in there. Try to make a good showing. He try to steal around. Motherfucker don't throw but 10 punches around.
Yeah, I hate to see that for anybody under welterweight and below, man. That 10 punching around stuff is kind of disappointing to me as a boxing fan. You want to see a guy be able to put in some steady work. I understand taking a rest and whatnot, but yeah, everybody can't operate at that low punch output like a Floyd can later in his career. Make 15 punches, but make 10 of them count or 9 or something. Can't do that.
Yeah, he got enough savvy, you know what I'm saying, to stand in there and he can, he know how to, get out of the way of a lot of shit. But as far as him actually whooping somebody's ass, man, he pieced old boy up a little bit, but man, bro, I just don't. I don't see it, bro. I hope to do, his About Billions production, whatever that is. I hope that does well. But him as a fighter, nah, bro, it's not going. I understand. A lot of Ohio, Ohio people, they support their own, and I like a lot of my own fighters. But that nigga right there, man, nah, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
So how did you see the fight with Jesse Vargas? And you said it showed you something. What did you take away from that fight?
That he doesn't. For one, he can't fight 12 rounds. You know what I'm saying? He takes rounds off. he takes a lot of rounds off now. But with the Vargas fight, I mean, he had like, I think it was like the 9th round. He threw a little flurry at the end, got everybody all hyped and shit. But I mean, but Jesse Vargas is a B, C level fighter. You know what I'm saying? He's not a top welterweight. And if he is the problem, shit, he should have watched Vargas. He should have, you know what I'm saying? Shit. Really, I'm gonna tell you, really, I'm gonna take that back. I gotta take the shit back now. What said a lot was the Mikey fight. That really said a lot.
That's what opened my eyes. I was at that fight. I went to Barclays to cover that fight, quote unquote. And I get ready to, to watch the fight. And I was, I'm in between on when I score fights and when I don't. And I was like, let me score this one. It's Broner, and Mikey is coming up, and Mikey is coming up one division. And I think I picked Mikey to win that fight. And it was just like, man, I gave Mikey the first 4 rounds. Then I get to the 5th round, 6th round. And then I start asking even on the rounds where it was somewhat competitive, I'm like, I want to check myself like, damn, this ain't right that I'm giving this man 6 straight rounds against Broner, but that's what my eyes were watching.
Yeah.
And then, like you said,
I said Jesse Vargas, but Mikey Garcia, that fight, that was a real telling. Honestly, you can go back before that. Because, I mean, when he fought Paulie, shit, I thought he was going to fuck Paulie up. You know what I'm saying? But he ain't really just fuck Paulie up. But, man, AB done popped so much champagne and all that brown liquor and shit, and Patron and shit, man. He ain't got it. He just ain't got it, man. I don't want to shit on him too much, bro, but I got to call it like I see it. That nigga, man, I can't, as far as a pay-per-view watching him, paying to watch AB, man, I'm streaming that shit. Not AB.
What do you want to see him face Regis Prograis? Or what would you like to see him do at 140?
You mean like 145?
Well, yeah. Now back to hey, you made a good point. It is that remains to be seen, because as you get older, it becomes more difficult to make those lower weights. But the thing
That's
is,
the whole point I'm trying to make.
Right. But the thing
He's not living a fighter's life.
Right. But the thing is, as we watched, I'm watching the Gerald Tucker cat on Instagram, and he's showing us what's being eaten for breakfast every day. And it's like, damn, bro, or some of the meals that they were eating. And it's like, well, you've been eating discipline and whatnot for several months, at least since November. And so even with this vegan stuff and with your meals being prepped and whatnot, you this kind of issue to fight week. And like you said, it's not trying to shit on Adrian Broner. It's not trying to kick a man while he's down. It's just like some Broner diehards expect you to disregard what your eyes are seeing and what you know about the game. And it's just like, damn, bro, I don't get it.
Yeah, man. I was excited about Broner. I was ready for the Valdez and Berchelt fight, because honestly, I picked Berchelt to knock Valdez out in 9 or 10 rounds, and it happened the other way. And from the start, he came out, his game plan. They had a game plan, and they executed it. And for a moment, I think it was like round 6 or 7, Berchelt, he kind of started pushing forward.
Right.
And you start seeing Valdez back up.
Right.
So I'm like, oh shit, like damn, he ain't finished him. But shit, when that 8th round came, he started back putting them hands back on him.
Yeah.
And when he dropped him, I said, oh shit, he just dropped him again. I said, yeah, he through. He done. I said, you know, this might be a case of, I guess you can't throw the cold shit in there too, but it could be a case of sometimes, man, fighters get old in the ring in one night. You know what I'm saying? Against another fighter, you know.
Right.
And you know, maybe they could have a rematch because which I doubt it they will, but I already know they probably gonna give Valdez a chance to defend his title before they just throw him in there against Shakur. But I want to ask you a question: is the Herring and old boy fight, is that canceled now?
It's postponed at the minute. I don't think they've. You talking about with Frampton? I don't think they've given a new date because they said it was a hand injury for Frampton.
Oh shit!
But
well, if it's a hand injury for Frampton, why don't you just let Shakur fight Herring and then let Hampton fight? You know what I'm saying? You know, but you know, I just see some bullshit coming. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna. I want to see the champions or the number one contender, the real number one person fight. You know what I'm saying? The champion. And I don't know, man. Boxing started to make my hairline push back, man. For real.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's hard to kind of, and that's what I was saying with Broner earlier. Like, it's hard, and even with the PBC in general right now, man, it's hard to look out at the schedule and see what some of these fights are building towards, or what's the overall game plan for some of the PBC guys. But like you said, here it is. Here's a situation now with Top Rank, man. I mean, I have a relationship with Herring, you know, so I'm not trying to diss the man, but I do think the play for Top Rank is to get him this fight with Frampton. It's probably a good money fight, especially with the intentions was for it was for Herring to go over to Belfast or Ireland or whatever, and you know, have a decent gate, and then the you know, the TV numbers be somewhat respectable to make it all.
So they were going to have a gate.
They were hoping. They were hopeful.
Okay.
They were hopeful, but even you know, going into and it's some thoughts on, you know, from Bomac and whatnot. It's some thoughts that the money behind the fight, or for some reason that it's really not a hand injury. That just looking at the numbers without it being a live gate, that was part of the reason why this is getting postponed. Now, what did you?
That sounds like some bullshit.
Well, that's what Bomac said.
Yeah,
because you know, with the fight supposedly being with the fight not being with the fight being next week, Bomac and them hadn't even received their travel, you know, the airfare, the tickets to get over there. So they were saying with it being that late and them not having flights to Ireland, like they were, you know, they had you know, it was a reluctance to even have this fight, and this was just what they came up with to go ahead and postpone it.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you though, you know, with being frustrated with boxing, what did you think about what was your thoughts on Valdez dropping that title instead of facing Shakur Stevenson at 126 and going up?
Because he had already, the excuse was already thrown out there that he's having trouble making the weight. You know what I'm saying? He can't make the weight. That's the excuse. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm killing myself making 126. You know, so that's what they said. So
did you?
I thought it should have.
Did you look at it as a flat out duck though, or being that he went up, but is it justified now being that he did go up to face Berchelt?
Yeah, I mean, you can justify it. You know, he did what he was supposed to do, and he took care of business in the ring. You know what I'm saying? But like, now I am glad he did acknowledge Shakur in the press conference after the fight, the post press conference. He did mention, you know, he said, you know, Shakur has been trying to get in the ring with me, and like I ain't ducking nobody. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna lie, I'm proud of the young man because he showed something in the ring, and as far as the game plan with Reynoso and his trainers, they training camp, they executed it well. He showed some Canelo-ish type things in the ring. You know what I'm saying? As far as just him slipping punches, moving around a little bit. He moved a little bit, and
ring IQ.
And they calmed him down. Yeah, his ring IQ, they calmed him down. Like I said, like it was like 6 and 7. You know what I'm saying? They told him, man, you got to stand in there, saying you in shape, and he took care of business. You know what I'm saying? He outboxed him, man. He had more in the tank. You know what I'm saying? So I got to give him credit for that, but it's just the way boxing going. It just I don't really believe he'll get his next defense will be, against Shakur. And man, they like to, they like to me over there, they like, well, it's everywhere, but they like to, stretch shit out longer than what it should be. And it's hard for me to, I hope so, but it's hard for me to see them fight this shit. Because, fighters don't fight no more than 2 to 3 times a year.
Yeah, that's what's so frustrating.
Now, seems like that's what's frustrating about the whole, this boxing game, period. It's like, man, and somebody said something, and I didn't really agree with it, but as far as, these fighters today being active, I think that's a lot of the real good ones, Achilles heel. They don't stay active enough, you know what I'm saying? That's why, an upset is always a possibility. But I'm gonna tell you another thing too, man. I got to say this, bro. I got the zone. Man, that shit is trash. I'm sorry, bro. That shit is trash. I'm talking about hot garbage. That's some straight bullshit, bro. They be them fights, Matchroom and whoever else, that shit they be putting on, bro. Man, I can't watch that shit. If it ain't no like real marquee fight. Like I watched the dude Josh Kelly get his ass whooped, and shit, man, I'm looking at this motherfucker. He think he Roy Jones. The way he got, his thing with the stands. I'm like, man, oh man, they need to do something with him because he gonna end up getting retired or just gonna be one of them. Man, that dude right there, bro. It's level to this shit, man. And as far as preparation and training, a lot of them dudes, they way behind the 8 ball, man. Because it was almost like you just wait for him to hit it with a left hook.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it just, I don't know, man. That shit be trash, bro. I can't sit up and I like boxing, man, but I can't sit up and watch some of them dudes all day. Them boring ass, man, that shit be boring. That shit be boring, bro. I'd be like, man, these dudes, man, can't really fight. They, you know what I'm saying? Well, they be in shape, but they can't really fight. They really can't box.
Right. Well, a
lot of them cats, man.
Well, let me ask you this though, because I'm not trying to defend the zone, and I'm not trying to convert anybody. I ain't trying to pitch the zone to people. I look at it like this though. There are issues with some of the lower level European fighters and the ones that are fighting for them European titles and whatnot. And when you got a UK guy fighting a Portugal guy or a French guy or some of that stuff, I do get all of that. I'm just saying, I think if you take the hit up front with the zone and just go on and pay your $100, I think over the course of the year, you do get your value in terms of like now I had to re-up in October, at the end of October, I think. And so, I mean, I'm gonna get what, I'm gonna get 2 or 3 Canelo fights. While I'm not the biggest Canelo fan per se, I'm not paying.
I'm not watching Canelo and you. I'm not watching that shit. And I got it. I don't think I'm gonna even watch that shit.
I'm gonna watch that one for the undercard.
Who's on the undercard?
I know Jesus Martinez is gonna be on there.
Okay.
Damn, you asked me too quick. I mean, it's not
okay. Ain't next week ain't Hooker and Ortiz next week?
I think that might be March 20th or something.
Okay.
Yeah, my and that's what I'm saying.
I just looked at the schedule. Man, Jordan, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand. I'm just like I said. I only justify the zone from the simple fact that I pay right now. I probably pay $12.99 or $13.99 for Showtime, and to be honest, bro, like it's not many series that I watch on Showtime, and it's not like they're giving you a hell of a boxing card right now. I mean, a boxing schedule right now. So I'm basically paying. I'm paying the same thing for Showtime, but it's $3 or $4 more per month than what the zone is if you pay the annual pass thing, or what if you get the annual subscription. So it's like the zone has given you a little bit more value than Showtime, and if you just watching it for boxing.
Now, if I'm a young fighter, I would sign with the zone because I don't think you can. I think it would be easier to probably get out of them contracts as far as you won't be stuck to them. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to sign like a 3-fight deal with them. You know what I'm saying? Instead of a year, like a yearly contract. Just do it on a fight, like a couple fight basis.
Right.
I don't think that's a bad idea, especially if I'm a young fighter. You know what I'm saying? Because you're probably going to get paid a little more over there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Compared to probably top rank. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know how much the PBC pays these, the young fighters like the Spencers and the tall guy for
Fundora.
Fundora. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much are they getting, but I know as far as from a business standpoint, I think they're happy. You know what I'm saying? They can, maybe even sometimes I believe on the PBC side, some of them guys are eating to the point they might be a little too content as far as just
needing to fight to earn money.
Boxer. Yeah. Which is not a bad thing because at the end of the day, like motherfuckers shit on Don King for robbing the fighter. but on the other end, the motherfucker had a great fight. He put the fight together.
Yeah, his product was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was great. You know what I'm saying? The undercard, like, I remember that shit back in the day. I remember, the cable box that you could have and watch all of the TVKO shit. You know what I'm saying? I remember that back in the 90s. But man, I don't know, bro. Shit. I called you because I had to get that off my chest about Broner. I'm not convinced. Can't nobody convince me. It's like a pimp trying to, just lay some game on the bitch, and I guess I'm just a bitch that ain't trying to hear,
Bro, it's crazy that you mentioned that, man, because I did a video like 4 or 5 months ago, and that's what I said. I said following Broner is like he's pimping you, because I watched he was on a live stream of this cat from Cincinnati who has like a nightly live stream, and Broner said on there, he was like, man, my fans, man, they just want to see me fight, man. They don't even care who I fight. And I was like, God, bruh, like Do you know how much time I devote to how many weekends I give up watching boxing? And you're gonna sit here and tell me I'm so much of a hoe or a prostitute that you just tell me what I'm gonna tune in to watch? I thought that was the most. I thought if you take that literally, like that was so disrespectful to the fans, man. And like I said, we devote hours and hours and hours of our free time to this shit, man. And for you to sit here and say you can do whatever you want to do and these people still gonna tune in, I really wasn't with that statement.
I don't even want to hear Broner talk, man, for real. But it's like, man, I'm good. I'm good with Broner in and out the ring. I wish him the best, though. I don't want to. I hope. As far as what I'm saying, just him being a grown man and taking care of business, everything is all good with him. But him in the ring, man, I'm straight. It's too many other fighters out here that I can focus my time on and to watch him. Like, Robert Easter, he did okay, but like Robert Easter, and I think Robert Easter is a good name for some of these, like, how these fighters fight like a Linares or like a Fortuna. You can throw Robert Easter in there, but I guess he's fighting at 140 now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, he's at 140 now. See, man, Robert Easter, he doesn't have enough punch. His power isn't going to get him over the top at 140. He'll be able to win some fights, but as far as being an elite 140 pounder, But we always talk like a lot of people. They always bring up Regis. I don't think Regis can make 140 no more.
Yeah, I think
he's a twin. They're tweeners. You know what I'm saying? They know that. Like Regis know he can't fuck with Earl Spence. You know what I'm saying? He know he. You know what I'm saying? He might could have a decent fight with like a Porter, because Porter gonna fight to the level of whoever he's fighting, the fighter he's fighting. But man, he can't. Regis. I don't think Regis want to go up, because I think it now is his time to go up. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully. And I'm gonna tell you another thing too. You was talking about knockouts, man. I think Vergil Ortiz is gonna brutally knock out Hooker, because I don't think Hooker is gonna be, man. Hooker, I'm serious. I think that might be a knockout of the candidate, because Hooker is not gonna fight tall. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna. He could throw. And Hooker one of them fighters. He really gets on your nerves, because the motherfucker's so long.
Yeah, he long as hell.
He can throw his jab is good enough to keep motherfuckers at bay, but he doesn't have the discipline to fight tall. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the discipline to fight tall, and you know what I'm saying? He can throw. He throw good hooks. He can be technical, but as far as his ring IQ, he has those lapses that he just, I don't know, man. It's just like how remember how Ramirez, I think he took him out like the 5th or 6th round, and it was like, oh boy, just went to sleep, and then he just jumped on him.
Right.
Like, man, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's
very, you know what I'm saying?
He's very inconsistent, and that length gets used against him because he's not using that length like paired with his feet. Like, okay, man, you can rest, but damn, you need to control that distance. And if you're gonna be lax like that, at least take that half step back, or roll, slide to your left, do something. But he just throw it out there, bring it back slow, and allow himself to get opened up. Yeah, man, that I'm with you. Watching
I don't think he can hurt Ortiz really. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if he got enough pop to just really. I think he'll have a chance to frustrate him a little bit, but man, Ortiz is real technical. As far as his punch placement, and he has a decent ring IQ. His defense is still a little iffy, but
yeah.
Just power wise, I think, man, Hooker probably gonna be right for the picking. Or something nasty.
Virgil he's efficient and pretty constant with what he does. I'm with you. Yeah, there are some defensive deficiencies there with him, but you know, he make up for a lot of it with his offense. Before you do get off here though, with you being from Flint, man, I like to get your opinion, you know, your interest level in my girl Claressa Shields with her pay-per-view on March 5th against Marie-Eve Dicaire.
That's my we went to the same high school.
Oh, really?
She went to Flint Northwest. Yeah, man. I mean, I got love for Claressa. Come on, shit. And Dub all the way. But as far as the pay-per-view, I don't, you know, what people got to understand with Claressa, man, she been on her own, bro, pretty much since she was shit. You know, before she was like a teenage girl, she done been through a lot.
Yeah.
And what you got to understand is her being her, you know, she didn't get no kind of endorsement deal. This girl is a 2-time Olympic gold medal winner, and she ain't getting no Wheaties or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. And as far as just, I think her being a woman, you know, that's one thing, because, you know, a lot of people just ain't really paying attention to women's boxing. And her being young or whatever, you know, she just doing the best she can do. I'm pretty sure, as far as from a PR standpoint, she don't really have a PR team, you know.
She had one briefly. I think she even had.
She did?
Yeah, I was in touch with her one time, but I think she changes it like per fight to fight. She gets somebody else versus, you know, having somebody kind of.
I mean, see, and I'm gonna tell you another thing. What happened, man? When a brother jumped on old boy, that turned a lot of people off. That messed a lot of shit up for her. You know what I'm saying? It really did. I could tell that's probably why they really trying to blackball her. You know what I'm saying? From that situation, you know, because it just shouldn't have went down like that. You know, that was just, you know, and it's not her fault. It's not her fault, but you know, I wish her the best. I'm probably gonna buy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy
it.
If
I can't stream it, I'm gonna probably buy it.
I'm gonna buy it.
If I can't stream it, I'm gonna probably still buy it. But you know, it's just a tough situation, man. And I could believe as far as, you know what I'm saying, like some of the things I heard her say about I guess the PBC but that's probably, I think that's just boxing period, you know. You know, the women's boxing is not what I'm really looking for, and she hasn't had anybody to market her to put her on the status. So everybody still don't know who she is, and that's a shame. You know, to be honest, you know, you have to be a hardcore boxing fan to really know who she is. That's just the bottom line.
Do you think that's been a bit of a mistake on how she's been steered, that they've tried to lead? I mean, to put her out there as the headliner versus maybe sticking her on the undercard of another pay-per-view. I know she was on Andre Ward's pay-per-view back for her first fight. You know, and then once she made it over to Showtime, they started working her into being, or they really started building the events around her. And I know they were trying to get her on the doubleheader with the Charlo brothers. I think they were trying to get her into that, and that fell apart. But you know, I don't know if, like you said, women's boxing just hasn't taken hold the way that it has in Europe and in the UK.
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope she don't go to MMA. I hope she's not really, you know. I hope they be strategic Who they put her in there with?
She scheduled a
She
fight.
get took to the ground.
She scheduled a fight in June.
No. She scheduled?
Yeah, she scheduled for a fight in June.
Oh, man. I don't know, bro. I mean, who is she going to fight, though? Because, like, she can't go down. I don't think she can go down to 145. So she going to be fighting at, like, 150, huh? 155 or something like that. Women's weight division, they weight division is not really, I don't think they got no, like, real big weight divisions, like, for her size. I don't know, man. I just hope she can make her some money, bro. You know, I don't want to see her fight no fucking Amanda Nunes. I don't want to see her get beat the fuck up. Because I think if she fights somebody that's really, you know, a jiu-jitsu proprietor, they gonna take her. They ain't finna stand up with her. They finna take her ass straight to the ground. It's gonna be a Randy Couture, James Toney situation.
I admire.
Like, I'm not finna stand with you.
Yeah, I admire her courage in taking that on, man. But I do think it's a big mistake.
Yeah.
And you know, the timing that she's talking about, you know, just focus on MMA for a year, 16 months. Like, sis, it's so much stuff that, like, you're gonna be in there trying to think through things and remember technique. Your team, your corner gonna be yelling stuff at you. And the minute, like you said, nobody is going to stand with you. And there's no way to make anybody stand. Like, you can, in boxing, you can force some people into some shit, into fighting in you know, outside of their style. You know, you mentioned Sean Porter. He makes some people fight his fight.
Yeah.
You can't do that in MMA.
MMA is hands, elbows, feet,
forearms,
wrestling, judo, Muay Thai. There's a lot of variations going on with that shit, bro. I mean, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna just keep it real with you. I love boxing, but MMA killing boxing right now. Cause you get in a fight, the motherfuckers that's supposed to fight each other, it ain't gonna be no, you know what I'm saying? You gonna get that fight, and it's gonna happen sooner than what you think. You know what I'm saying? Point blank, period. The best are gonna fight the best regardless. As long as whoever at the top, they gonna have to keep fighting the number one or number two person. Boxing, shit. I don't know, bro. It's rough.
Yeah,
it's rough, man. A lot of people be asking me, like, man, boy, you love you some boxing. Like, yeah, man, but this shit, it just gets so watered down, man. It's like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Earl and Bud situation, man, that shit got me so frustrated. It's like, man, I'm wondering, am I gonna be alive? Is anything? You know, I want to see the fight, but the way these motherfuckers acting, bro. I mean, man, that's what really breaks my heart, because that fight you can really say you don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't know unless you can say, okay, I think Bud might whoop Earl ass. You think, you know what I'm saying, Bud might watch Earl, but you don't know that until you actually see them fight. And then the thing with Bud, you know, he has the accomplishment, but accomplishments don't mean you got the bread behind it. You know, you got to keep it 100, man. Yeah. You look at all them dudes Bud and fought. Shit, it's like nobody's. You don't know who the fuck Julius Ndongo is. And then I'd be embarrassed to say Ricky Burns.
Right.
Ricky Burns? Come on, dog. Ricky Burns, man. Amir Khan?
That's why I don't bother arguing. That's why I don't.
Canelo?
Right. That's why I don't bother arguing with people on this stuff, because, like you said, we watching all this. We watching all this stuff from week to week, and like you said, they all fight in such different fish bowls and or like, ecosystems that, like you said, I mean, we were just talking with Broner and Robert Easter Jr. Who the hell do they face that means anything at 140 moving forward? Like, what bodies does the PBC have for them to face where we even really, it's only Prograde. And then the Subriel Matias cat who knocked out Malik Hawkins, and they ain't gonna fight him.
Yeah. And he got his ass whooped on the wild card.
Exactly. He had some issues and whatnot. I mean, I gotta tell.
I don't give a fuck about the excuses. He got your ass whooped.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you right. You right.
You got in the ring, you got your ass. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I see it, bro. But this shit frustrates, man. But, bro, I don't, you know, you want to see, and like Earl, he probably finna fight Ugas. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna even buy that fight because it's probably gonna be on pay-per-view. I don't want to see no motherfucking Ugas on pay-per-view.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, bro.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad that he's trying to face Ugas to get the belt. You know what I'm saying? Because if the WBA, you know, holds up to their word, then that's cool. Because shit, Manny ain't trying to get in the ring with him. You know what I'm saying? He ain't. And then I'm gonna tell you, this is what really pissing me off though. They keep putting his name along Terrence Crawford. That shit is not gonna happen. And then I'm hearing, you know, the 40, give me 40 million. First of all, you know, goddamn well, they not finna raise 40 million for no fucking Manny Pacquiao, bro. But if I'm hearing this shit right, to hear Bud, if this is true, to hear him say, I would take 10 million, but, you know what I'm saying, with the other cat, you won't even take this much.
Yeah, looking.
It's not like, you know what I'm saying, it's not like, you know, but that was Earl Spence part though too. Earl Spence should have never negotiated. You know, you should have never let that out there. You should never put that out there. If they was gonna send him an offer, you should have just sent them an offer behind the scenes and, you know, not say nothing about it. But I know it's a lot of, you know what I'm saying, a lot of posturing going on, you know, as far as that situation, bro. But man, they gotta go ahead. They need to go ahead and make that shit happen because I really don't want to see. I don't want to see Keith Thurman. I really don't, because I can't take him serious. I'm almost starting to look at him like as a Broner too, and not saying he won't fight. It's just that I don't think he really be living a fighter's lifestyle either. Because I be seeing Keith Thurman like he be looking big as a motherfucker.
And it's like,
you know what I'm saying?
And he's on some completely other stuff with whatever his, you know, whatever his, I don't know if it's just living harmoniously with his wife or whatever. But we know Broner is in the streets and alcohol and whatever else. But that's the thing, like with Thurman, what are you out here doing?
Man, I don't know what he out here doing, but and I know he's just trying to get him. I feel like he's trying to get a big payday. You know what I'm saying? But before I get off, I want to ask you one thing though. What you think about Sean Porter and them turning down the $2 million? I mean, I'm not looking at these guys' pockets or whatever, but because I'm looking at it like I think Porter looking at it like I'm finna. I only got a couple of more fights left, so I'm trying to get what I can get. But
yeah,
honestly, I really wish he would go ahead. They need to go ahead and make that fight because I don't think Porter is gonna be able to push Bud the way people think he does. Like how he did the Earl fight. I got this feeling, bruh. He's gonna get knocked out if they make that fight.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I hadn't really.
And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna let you talk because I'm gonna get off the phone in a bit. But I gotta tell you why. I seen something in Bud that a lot of people are not paying attention to, as far as just him being in the ring and just going in the mix. Bud got this. He got like a hybrid. He got like a hybrid. It's like an uppercut slash hook that he can throw, and it's like him being first. In the, when he's going against the opponent, I seen him land the shit. He landed against Benavidez, and he just did it again against Amir Khan. It's like a quick uppercut. It's like he'll throw it so quick before his opponent can get off, and it'll hit you and kind of graze you, and it just throw you off. And I think Porter is right for the picking and could run into some shit like that. And I think that'd be 99, Pony Boy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. I'm with you. It's something weird that not weird. I mean, it's something unique that he seems to be developing at this stage in his career, and that's why I don't know. That's why I wouldn't know who to pick between him and Spence, because Spence is trying to get you with volume and solid power.
He's trying to beat you up,
right?
Yeah.
But Bud is trying to like do a lot with a little, and make.
And one more thing about Bud too. Bud, you can hurt Bud, and that's a good thing for Bud,
right?
Because the headlights gonna come on. You know what I'm saying? He gonna really zero in on you if you hurt. If you know what I'm saying? If you cut him or hurt him, like Bud type person. If you like you said, when he fought the Green Machine dropped. That's what woke him up.
Right.
And I think if him and Porter, I think even if Porter, hit him with some shit, I think it would wake him up. And I think he got a chance to really fuck over Porter, bro. I think styles make fights, man. Some of the shit that Porter does, it's good shit. Cause like people always talk about he a football player, but shit, he was in there dancing on Earl. He was spinning it, Earl. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Earl. Shit. Earl talking about he wanted to fight that fight. That's why he fought like that. He ain't had no choice. You know what I'm saying? He ain't had no choice. But as far as them two make, these welterweights, man, all these motherfuckers. I just want to see them fight, bro.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm gonna tell you another thing that might surprise you too. Right now, Jamel, my number one pound.
Jamel Charlo?
Yep. That's my number one.
Yeah, I talked about that a couple of weekends ago, man. He's not in my pound for pound top 10. He's just outside of it. And it's just because I thought Tony Harrison really outboxed him.
He was whooping his ass. You just say he was whooping his ass.
Right. And that's so strictly from after seeing that, I don't have him in my pound for pound because I think because I saw that. But there's no quit in Jamel, and and he does have good power, and he's got a good chin too. I just need to see him in his next fight, honestly. And I mean, he looked great against Rosario. I like that I'm seeing constant improvement. Like I said, man, I'm not trying to downgrade or knock Jamel Charlo. I have no problem with people ranking him highly and whatnot. I just think, again, like you said, when you're only seeing these guys twice a year, I don't know, man. And like when we don't see when we don't see these guys fighting, like I said, in the other fishbowl, with any top ranked guys. Although now it looks like we'll get Jamel. What's your thoughts on the Castano cat coming over now with the WBO title? How do you see?
Man, that's a wonderful fight. I can't wait to see that fight. I just think, Castano he's gonna be with the shit. It's gonna be a fight, but I think he might be a little just too small.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think he's gonna be too small. I mean, he's gonna be in there in the mix, but I just think Jamel gonna catch him with some shit. And I noticed, like, with him and Dig, since he been to start fighting with Dig James, I think they work on and try to set traps for opportunities for him to land shit to knock motherfuckers out. I think that's a big part of their game plan. Cause you know what I'm saying, he knows how to take a lot of punches, you know what I'm saying, block a lot of he blocks a lot of punches too.
Right.
But as far as when it comes to countering and just setting shit up, they try to set shit up to put your ass on the ground.
Which is
I noticed that
that's what Emmanuel Stewart was about.
Yeah. I think it's working. It's working. Now he still, he has a chance, people have a chance to outbox him or whatever. But like a guy like Castaño, he's a fighter too. And shit, him coming in there like that against Jamel, that's trouble, man.
Yeah, all that diving in, all that diving in stuff. That's you looking to run into something.
You looking to run into something, and that's why I was talking about Porter and Bud. I think he the same thing would happen, with them two. But Castaño, he's a good fighter, man. I know he's a good TV fighter for sure. He's gonna give you some action because he beat Laura, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I thought he beat Laura.
Agreed.
But he's well. I could tell he's hungry. He's a hungry fighter. Now I will say that he's a hungry fighter. So I'm hoping as far as, even though the Charlo twins, they kind of Hollywood, I still think that they're gym rats, and that's what benefits them. Even though they're not fighting all the time, I think they stay in the gym.
Agreed.
And they're not drinkers and smokers and stuff like that. So they don't take drugs and stuff of that nature. And you gotta look at their necks, man. Look at them boys' necks, bro. It's hard to you have to be a hard puncher, a good puncher, man, to knock one of them boys down or out. Only person I think I ever seen drop was Jamel, and it was like a little flash trip type knockdown. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, man. But man, let me get off your live stream, bro. It was a pleasure talking to you, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for calling in. Like I said, I know I put the number up there sometimes and people don't want to call in and whatnot, but I appreciate you doing so and contributing to the show.
Yeah, man. I make sure I keep that bill icon, so the next time you come on, I chop it up with you, bro. Because Broner, man, that's what I really called in for. That goddamn Broner stuff. I can't stomach him like that. I wish him well, but as far as me wasting my hour to watch him in the ring, I'm good. I'm good. And no, I didn't watch the fight last night. I didn't watch him fight. That was the fight I did not watch.
Oh, really?
And I did that shit I did it on purpose because I already knew what I was gonna be hearing today. You know what I'm saying? I knew it was gonna be half of the people gonna say to do one, or it was a draw, or he got a gift. Bro, I'm done with that shit, bro. I'm not. When the Valdez and Berchelt fight was over with, man, I was indulging in my gentleman jack, man. Fuck AB. I'm sorry, bro. Shit. I'm sorry, bro. I can't do it. Nah.
Hey, well, at least you honest, man. At least you honest.
Man, I can't do nothing but be honest, bro. I got to keep 100 on this shit because I don't got no dog in the fight when it comes to these boxes no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I might actually like or favor one more than the other one this year. At the end of the day, I just want to see a fight. I'm not gonna cake for one of them. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You get your ass whooped, you get your ass whooped. You win, you win. If it's a close fight, maybe it's a close fight. But hell, I want to see y'all fight. You know what I'm saying? It's too much pussy shit going on.
Well,
I'm not even finished. Huh?
I was gonna say before you do get off, then what would you like to see with that in mind? Because that's how I feel the same way. I mean, I just cover this stuff, and like I like to write about boxing, so that's how I got started with this stuff, was just writing. But with that said, man, what would you like to see next for Deontay Wilder? Or do you even care?
Well, I support Wilder. I support Wilder. Now, we'll tell you about that situation real quick. I don't think we're gonna ever really know what happened. I think some bullshit did happen. I don't think I'm not gonna be like in denial. Like a lot of people, like, oh, he just got his ass whooped. Yeah, he got his ass whooped, but it was some help whooping his ass too. You know, the water shit, I don't know. I'm iffy about that. But as far as the gloves and all that other shit, I believe it. Because all I can remember from that night, before the fight, you going there in both locker rooms. Wilder next to his old lady, Fury in there with all this dudes, and then all of a sudden the lights go out. Cameras go out. Ain't nobody saying a lot about that. Like, why, you know, when they doing the gloves. But see, boxing got to try to go back to what they used to do back in the day. I remember back in the day, they used to tank up in the ring.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know. I think it's some bullshit behind Fury. You know what I'm saying? Them motherfuckers not right. That's why he already knew. You know he not gonna. He knew he wasn't gonna fight Wilder again. The pandemic just really helped his cause or whatever. But he knew he wasn't gonna fight Wilder, bro. Wilder just need to fight. I don't think it even matter who he need to fight, bro. He just needs to try to stay active. If he could if he could fight 2 to 3 times a year, he need to go on and do it. And just knock motherfuckers out. So you know what I'm saying? But he's getting older, and I really want to see from that dent that got put in his head, is it really gonna be something that was taken out of him permanently? Because see, like I said, I gotta be honest. Man, Fury is not no power guy. He's a big guy, and yeah, he's big enough to knock anybody out. But the damage to what I was looking at, that shit just don't sit right with me. And I'm gonna just keep it like that. I ain't gonna go on no rant about what happened, what could have happened. I believe it got covered up, and we're never gonna know actually what happened. But you know, I just want Wilder, man, to go on and try to stay active and knock whoever head off that he get in the ring with. And you know what I'm saying? Hopefully he can get him my opportunity again. Because like with Breland, there been some kind of tension between them two. It's been going on for the last few years, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Because I think Breland, but what Breland did, he did it this third going over there to do an interview. When you got all these platforms over here, and you're gonna go over there to do an interview, that to me that says a lot about him and his character. So that's what, like I said, you know, I'm not gonna say he put no water or did nothing to him, because I think it was a big setup from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Then, you know, with Fury, why you didn't want to drink the water? You ask her, like, where did it come from? He like, nah. I mean, it's just, come on, bro. You know, people see this shit, bro, and they act like it didn't happen, you know. But like I said, as far as, you're never going to know what really happened in that ring, or the lengths that they went to come out victorious. And, you know, they pulled it off. Yeah, you got to give them credit. I mean, it ain't like this shit ain't happened before. People act like boxing is just some clean sport. This shit is the most corrupt shit, period. You know what I'm saying? It's no kind of commission or nothing. So motherfuckers do what they want to do. And that's just it.
It's definitely it's definitely protect yourself at all times from the moment you enter the arena.
Mm-hmm. But I think Wilder's team. I think if honestly, if he's fired one, he should have just cleaned his whole team up. Period.
That's what I thought.
Because if old boy was in there watching the gloves and everything, and you didn't check his gloves to see if they could move, or if it might have been some kind of little rock or whatever placed in there some type of way, bro. I think he's just as much as far as Breland is. So, they just missed the ball and it all came tumbling down. You know what I'm saying? And it's a hard pill to swallow. Now I probably, you really can't say anything about him not saying nothing or coming out and saying something, because it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. A lot of people saying why Wilder ain't say something. Then he fucking around and finally say something. You know what I'm saying? So, he was in a no-win situation on that end.
Agreed.
It's fucked up, but you just gotta take it for what it is, man. And I'm gonna support the dude because I like a lot for what he stands for. You know what I'm saying? Why he got in the game, and I admire that because of one black man to another. So, but as far as whoever he chooses to fight, he needs to get him somebody he can stretch first, somebody he can pair on and you know what I'm saying, stretch them out, then fight somebody maybe like a Ruiz or somebody like that. But I hope that he's really looking at not just trying to go off his, it seems like Wilder wants to just try to just knock you out instead of boxing. And I think he needs to focus a little bit more on just boxing because he got he's older. And we done seen fighters, all these fighters, man. Some of the great fighters that we looked up to, man, now they can't even talk. And I don't want to see him end up like that.
Right. You definitely, like you said, the power is always going to be there. So it's, how much time in camp do you spend on that versus expanding your arsenal, for the other stuff to make it easier to set up that power and like you said, to take less punishment. So I'm with you. I'd like to just see I just like to see the improvement. Again, I haven't been too vocal and too much into all of the different theories and conspiracies. I'm just like, man, at this point, I just want to see your next move, man. And I'll tune in when that gets laid out there. I can't go back and do anything about whatever, wherever the ball was dropped, on February 22nd.
Yeah, because we're never going to know. We're never going to know.
Right.
We're never going to know the truth. And they got the, old boy got the complexion for the protection. So, you know what I'm saying? They gonna cake for him. That's why I can't stand a lot of stuff Bob M does, because they threw some money at Fury. You know what I'm saying? And the way he shit on like Bud, and then for Bud to just let him shit on him like, and for Bud to let him shit on him like that, it's like, man, come on, dog. He don't. I don't know, man. He another person, bro. As far as PR is gone to the shit. He has no PR team. Period. For real, he. I could tell it's get it how you live.
Yeah, I think that's an area of the game that's overlooked, and fighters don't see any value in investing any, spending money in that area and whatnot. But we just get these people, we just get these individuals with no media training or, no consistent messaging. And then like we already know that the scheduling is tough. It's a tough game, man. I'm like you, man. I take what I can get with boxing. This happened to be a particular weekend where it all lined up and we got an excellent fight that we didn't have to go in our pockets for.
Exactly. Man, I now that I love about Top Rank. They're gonna make a few TV fights, you know what I'm saying, as far as championship fight level fights that you're gonna get to see and really enjoy. It's but I hope the best for Shakur, you know what I'm saying? Because, as talented as he is, he still got a lot to prove to me. I gotta see it. I gotta see him be the person who everybody's saying he is or is gonna be. And him beating a person like Valdez, I think will validate it. You know what I'm saying? Or even, you know what I'm saying? I like to see, which is never gonna happen, but I like to see him against another guy like a Colbert, Chris Colbert. Chris Colbert, he was a good fighter, man. And I think if he just stopped playing and go in there and fight, that would really benefit him. He needed all of the shit for show, the pink hair and all that bullshit. I mean, that's cool. You trying to get yourself noticed. But go in there, man, just do what you got to do and stop bullshit. But that's pretty much all I got to say, bro.
Hey, well,
yeah,
like
man.
I said.
Broner. Huh?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Broner, man, I'm sorry. I'm done with Adrian Broner, bro. Sorry, because he's not going. You gonna hear? I think somebody gonna come on in the morning, and that's my homeboy. That's my dog. Yeah, he gonna be going. He gonna be talking about. He gonna ride or die for Broner, bro. But I'm sorry, man. Broner ain't gonna do. He can't do it for me, bro. I've been watching this shit too long. And I know what I'm looking at in the ring. And I know what a nigga gonna do and what a motherfucker might do. That motherfucker might not. He's not gonna do nothing. I'm sorry, bro. I can't take AB, man. I just can't. I can't take the buffoonery and cooning shit he be saying. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to see a nigga in the ring walk. I don't want to see it. Next.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
The morning guy is actually he's not my neighbor, but he's in the same city nearby. He's nearby, and yeah, I hear the love.
Oh, you in Ohio?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my dog. That's my dog, man. Yeah. We met in Houston. I met him in Houston.
Okay.
That's my guy, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I met him in Houston.
I just know I'm in the minority when it comes to that. So when he goes off on that tangent, I just let him live.
No, you're not in the minority. No, I don't think you're in the minority. It's just some people just not gonna say what they want to say. I'm gonna say what I want to say. That motherfucker done.
It's gonna be interesting.
Point blank period.
I'm looking forward to what the word is this week. I'm a check out even when I get off here. I'm a around YouTube and see what folk are talking about, and get a sense of what's what.
Yeah, me too, bro. I ain't got a lot to do today. Shit, I'm in Louisiana right now. Yeah, we've been dealing with some weather and shit. We just got power yesterday, so you know what I'm saying. We dealing with that. I'm actually at my sister's in Alexandria, so I smell dinner about getting cooked, so I'm ready to eat dinner and get back to the house, man.
Yeah, I'm about to run up here myself.
Yeah, bro. But just man, I'll make sure I hit the bell icon, and whenever you come on, bro, if I'm around, bro, it's cool chopping it up with you. I appreciate it.
All
Let
right.
me on, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you contributing to the show.
No problem, bro. All right, bro. I'll check you out later on.
All right. Peace, man.
All right. Peace out.
All right. That was Sheldon Holmes out of Flint, but down in Louisiana. Yeah, D Branch. What's going on, man? I gotta check your video out, man. You had some topic that I gotta go back and watch. I can't think of what it was now, but I wanted to come on there because I think I had a comment that I wanted to give on that. Definitely. So, yeah, man. Like I said, it was great to see some boxing on display this weekend. Again, a few guys that I wanted to see. I don't know what happened with their fights. For whatever caused them to not happen, and there was no reporting the updates on it and whatnot. So that's that. But anyway, I appreciated him. Somebody else calling in and weighing on some things. I know if you've watched the channel. I know some things that Sheldon said in regards to Deontay Wilder and, some of the different theories and conspiracies and whatnot, Glovegate. I know if you've watched the channel before, I don't hold those opinions that Sheldon just mentioned, but I just didn't see any value in arguing that out at this particular moment. So ain't that I'm trying to ride the fence or whatever. But people can feel, like I said, at this point with Wilder, I'm cool with whatever anybody thinks. I just want to know when the next fight is, and I'll check out that next fight and go from there. It's a lot of details that we just don't know, and I've pieced together what I could piece together. And I think also, man, people, depending on what you do, Santiago left it up to the judges, bruh. Should have been more aggressive, in my opinion. Y'all go check out Strike 7 Sports, giving you a lot of coverage of the Saints, Memphis, what is it? University of Memphis University. Basketball as well as football, college football for them, and then just NFL talk in general. So check him out, give him a follow, and help him out in trying to grow his grow his channel and whatnot. Yeah, I thought Santiago, man, I thought he ran out of steam. And that's what we expected. Like I said, class shows over time. And what I was just saying with Sheldon, say whatever I think about Adrian Broner, do or don't think, or whatever I praise him or whatever my knocks against him are or aren't. The man knows his way inside the ring. And it's, not just anybody is going to be able to beat him. And Santiago, I think he just ran out of, that full on 100% effort. That only takes you so far. Once a guy adjusts or becomes as physical as you are or has better athleticism, you saw later in the fight, even though AB is not a dynamic dude with his legs, he still has enough in that area where he was able to get away and get some space or anticipate what Santiago was gonna do. He did the same thing all night. And Broner is, the dude is talented enough to offset that and have some answers for that. He was able to get some space. And the jab, the jab was working for him. I've never been a big fan of all that. I've never really, I don't like it in, I don't really care for it in women's tennis or men's tennis. Shout out to Naomi Osaka taking that Australian Open over Brady in 2 sets. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of that stuff. And I think that's a bad habit. I think I heard the young cat from Cincinnati, Duke Reagan. I think I saw him getting into that stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. And personally, I think in Adrian Broner's from his perspective, I want to say that doing that doesn't allow us watching the fight to understand if it was a clean land or not. And, you know, it's already difficult watching fights from home sometimes, man, to interpret or understand whether or not a punch landed on the gloves or whether it landed cleanly, you know, especially if a fighter is fighting behind his guard and whatnot. We saw last night, I mentioned in talking about Valdez, Oscar Valdez, and Berchelt. You know, the jab with the shorter guy jabbing with the taller guy, he was able to pick off Berchelt's lazier and softer jab and immediately with his own jab that really started having a real impact on and bloodied the nose of Berchelt and really sent the fight in the direction that it ultimately ended up going in. So yeah, Santiago, man, just we didn't know nothing about the dude going. And like I said, I'm just watching him once. I thought he spent the last 4 to 5 rounds. I thought he just spent time just being a lot of low blows with his left hook. He didn't get any warnings for those. Trying to come up top, you know, with some wild right hand shots and whatnot. And Broner's, you know, Broner can box. I'm not gonna take that away from the man. I'm not gonna take that away from the man. It's just gonna run into the fact of, you know, if he's up at 147, he's gonna have problems. Even at 140, with anybody, you know, with the younger fighters. That do have more tools. What is he gonna do? Can he make 140? Like I said, the one thing that was telling to me, do you feel like Berchelt's corner should have? Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Do I feel like Berchelt's corner should have stopped it earlier? Looking at the way that it ended, I mean, in hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. But that sequence that he went through to end up there, that's because he was clearly fighting on autopilot for a couple of rounds. He just happened to have some success briefly in round 7 or 8. Actually, he got smacked around at the opening of round 8. I thought after that big flurry at the end of the round, at the beginning of round 8, when Valdez quit moving and sat down on some shots to open up in the beginning of the 8th and reestablish himself and hurt him again and to kill all that momentum that he had gained. Maybe in the middle of that round, definitely after the round, they probably should have said, hey, you gave your last stand. We're gonna get you out of here. You know, we're gonna do right by you. But instead, they sent him back out there, and I do think that was unfortunate because his movement was bad. And I said this earlier in the stream, I haven't seen a whole lot of I haven't seen a whole lot of Berchelt. I was interested in seeing him because I started seeing his name pop up on pound for pound lists at a number of different outlets. And I'm like, damn, I really haven't seen this dude in a truly like a meaningful fight. And so I was looking forward to this. But again, I can't really judge Berchelt on what I was watching because I felt like for large stretches of the fight, he was probably like Tim Bradley with Provodnikov. He really wasn't himself. And but I think that's that Mexican, you know, that's Mexican boxing. Like as long as you can breathe, we pour this water on your head, pull your trunks forward and let you take some deep inhales and get you back out there. But it wasn't like, and you know, Osuna wasn't really giving us everything that was being said. I've seen some Spanish speaking fans commenting on earlier in the round, in between rounds, Berchelt said a couple of times, like, we're screwed. Like, I'm down bad out here, but I'm just fighting. And I didn't know what the hell was being said. But I saw quite a few people on Instagram saying that either in the 6th, 7th, or 8th, somewhere in there, he was like, man, I'm done. And I was gonna say that earlier, man. It's gotta be hard as hell being a champion. And then being, and I didn't even realize, like they said with just 7 defenses, like he was getting ready to, like he was 1 or 2 away from tying the number, or the record for defenses at super featherweight. And it was just at 7. I think like Deontay Wilder was at 10, and it was a few guys in front of him with longer streaks of title defenses at 10. So to hear that at super featherweight at just 7 or 9, you could be the all-time leader in or maybe that was just for Mexican super featherweights. Excuse me there for my, my historical inaccuracy right there. But I just heard them mention that during the show. I just thought that was kind of a low number for all the guys. And maybe that's just how deep, 130 pounds has been throughout the years. But yeah, I think definitely, man, he was lunging forward the entire, the second half of the fight, or getting to the second half of the fight. He was reaching and overextending himself and leaving himself susceptible to big shots. And right there, if you look, and maybe it looks, a lot of things look worse in slow motion. But yeah, to see him come forward like that in that flurry, trying to rally and just fighting off of instinct. That was all muscle memory. Like, he probably won't remember large stretches of that fight. He just never will remember. He probably gonna watch that fight and have no recollection of any of that. And then to to run into a shot like that, like I said, it's tough being a champion, man, because after the 6th, 7th, 8th, any of them rounds, if he would have said no mas and I'm done, maybe it was a chance for a rematch. Maybe his weight could have been managed better. Maybe he could have been farther along out of, recovering from COVID. We still don't know. It was the basketball player earlier. I haven't heard any updates on that, but the basketball earlier in the year. Now, yeah, he did whatever to pass the medicals to make this fight. So I'm assuming, he was given a thorough examination, to see how to ensure his readiness. But it's still a lot of things seemingly with COVID that we don't know what the after effects are. But he damn sure didn't look, the couple of times that I have seen him, he didn't look, it looked like he needed to warm up or something through those first 3 or 4 rounds. So, but again, man, that's Mexican boxing. And the dude, some of these guys from time to time, man, some of these champions and these long reigning champions, some of these guys get lured into fights from time to time, and they pay a cost for that. And it definitely would not be recommended that he come right back, that they try to run that back. I don't think there's any way in the world that they could do that morally. And I can't sit here off the top of my head. I can't think of what Pacquiao's road back was as soon as when we saw him like that after the Marquez punch. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what his road back was, but in not stopping that fight, they completely closed the door on a champion. having a chance to come back and try to regain his title in a rematch, and us having this, possibly having this Mexican trilogy or the next great trilogy. Who was that? Marquez and Vasquez and Marquez from back in the day. So I don't know, man. That was but like fans benefited from it. Like to see a guy, you know, for your own countrymen, you know, to come out and publicly state who they were taking and why and how. I understand the frustration. You know, here's a guy, 2-time Olympian, but damn, you know, he just fought a hell of a fight last night, man. I watched it twice. I watched it this morning and you know, in real time last night. And man, it's good to see boxing like that. It really is. You know, game planning, preparation. You know, a guy. I've been vocal about that. Like we don't see, especially on the PBC side, and this is not favoring anybody. Honestly, this is just favoring people and having expectations for them. But out, with the exception of a few cats, we just don't see anybody over on the PB side saying, I want to do something. I want to face so-and-so, unless it's completely in their favor. Unless it's a lot of them guys at the end of the fights, what's the key phrase? Man, he wanted this fight. We didn't even want this fight. He wanted this fight. And it's like the guys, the A-side cats just sit back like we don't have to do anything. Somebody has to want to fight us. And then, of course, you know, when certain dudes call them out, they play deaf. But here's Oscar Valdez, who some people, like I just talked about with the guy who called in, Sheldon. You know, Valdez skipped out on defense against Shakur Stevenson, dropped the WBO belt and went up. And, you know, they started lining up this fight. I can't get mad at somebody leaving a division and going up to fight the best guy in the division. I can't get mad at that. And then to come through and deliver like that, at least that's some excitement. I mean, yeah, we didn't get Shakur and Valdez at that weight. And, you know, behind this, I mean, real talk, it may have been to a major disadvantage in Valdez from his perspective in trying to make that weight at that particular point in time. That's why I don't really, and I know some people don't rock with the channel. And, you know, I saw some people joining some live streams consistently for a minute. And then as soon as I was asked about some ducking stuff, I don't talk ducking. I'm not saying that ducking doesn't happen. That's just not my sweet spot. That's just not my area of expertise. You know, it's a lot of stuff to consider in some of these fights why they don't happen. And I just, you know, me never stepping into a ring, me never facing nobody. Who am I to sit here and say whatever? But like I said, then I got to come back and tip my cap to a guy like the Luis Alberto Veron last night, who came in and fought his ass off against Elvis Rodriguez. For an undercard fight, like between prospects or between a prospect and a journeyman, I really, like I said, man, boxing, it was some good ass boxing this weekend. Like just the fundamentals and the application of the sweet science, it was some good boxing. Oh yeah, I know this is just the zone caping for Canelo. Yeah, bro. Yeah, man, you starting to see them plant the seeds for that already. Canelo versus Triple G. Yeah, we're starting to see. It's been some whispers and some talks like, I don't blame him. Like, you know, man, I think it's a lot of media members, a lot of the mainstream media people. I think they still clamor for that fight. Canelo and Triple G. I'm in the minority. I had Triple G winning the second fight. I know some people were fans or big believers in Canelo coming forward and walking Triple G down or stepping to him, pressing him back and whatnot. I just felt like I honestly respected Triple G's grit a little bit more in that one, and I thought he got it done. Even it didn't look natural, it didn't look comfortable for him and whatnot. But I thought he pulled it out. I'm also in the minority that I thought Canelo won the first fight. So I know my winners or my record in that fight and rematch is the opposite of a lot of people, but that's just how I saw it. But maybe I respected I just respect different things. I respect things differently or value things differently in fights, and that's where I was with it. But yeah, I am starting to hear a little bit more and more of Triple G versus Canelo for the trilogy. All of that's going to be incumbent on whether or not they can keep Canelo around on the DAZN platform after what did they agree to it with May 8th with BJ Saunders and I honestly want to see that fight. I mean, if I can't get the fight that I want, which would be Jermall Charlo, whether you think he has earned it or hasn't earned it, or whether you think he can't compete with Canelo or not, I'm still ready to see Canelo against a certain style of fighter, that being a black fighter, and that being Jermall Charlo. Maybe Jermall's not a good enough boxer or all-around boxer. I don't know. But I'm tired of watching the same story that I've been watching. But if they were to keep on, I mean, if Canelo was decide to stay with DAZN after BJ Saunders, if that fight happens, again, man, I said this before. I don't get too mad at DAZN because for $8.53 per month, it is what it is. I mean, how can I get that mad at $8.53 per month? And I know they've tried to put, some people want fights every weekend. Some people want, they did say they wanted to have 4 to 5 pay-per-view caliber events per year. I know that was part of the sales pitch. But like I said, man, in its totality, over the course of 12 months, just now I had to re-up. And that's been part of DAZN's downfall. It's a lot of explanation. It's a lot of explaining for somebody to understand the value of DAZN. And I don't think Americans are all that great in math. And not that I'm no genius with numbers or nothing, but again, like I was just telling the guy who just called in, Sheldon, had to re-up in October. And I got a bunch of good fights, really good fights, right in October, November, and December. Even if you want to throw that, there was the Canelo fight. There was the doubleheader with Chocolatito against Gonzalez and the rematch between Estrada and Cuadras. We saw I go too much, but to see Canelo coming back in March, or damn, is that February? Boxing is messed up right now because the scheduling You got to work hard to find the schedule of what's what right now. All I know is March 13th with Estrada and Gonzalez. March 5th with Claressa Shields. Yeah, damn. That's next week. See, even like that card. Like I said, the zone really just, people don't have attention spans. And to talk about the zone, you got to explain what, if you got to explain something in 2 sentences, it's not gonna work. If you got to get into 2.5 sentences, your product isn't gonna work. I was just telling Sheldon, I pay probably, I don't even know what I pay for Showtime, whether it's $12.99 or $13.99 a month. Maybe it's $14.99 at this point. But I really have Showtime for Showtime boxing, pretty much. I'm not a Shameless fan. The Your Honor series just ended. I don't do a whole lot on Showtime. I really only have it for boxing. And I was thinking about getting rid of it, to be honest with you, until they had the super featherweights on there for their first show with the Leo and Cool Boy Steph fight. I was really ready to drop Showtime, but I paid, I stuck with it. But that's $14.99 or $13.99 a month. I pay $8.53 for the zone. I use the zone more regularly than Showtime. Now, last night or yesterday afternoon was not I wouldn't point to that card to tell nobody, oh, you missing something with the zone. Nah, I was watching Florian Marcoux and Ryland Charlton. I didn't even realize dude was a welterweight. That's a jacked ass looking welterweight in Florian Marcoux. But some of the other action on there, I really wasn't. I really just tuned in to see if there was really anything, if there was really any substance to Josh Kelly. But I use the zone more than I use Showtime. And like, I'm not the biggest Canelo fan, but with me re-upping in October, I'm getting 3 fights in 6 or 7 months of Canelo Alvarez, and I didn't have to pay $75 for none of those. My man that just called in, he's not a big fan of the Yildirim Ring fight. I understand that. I'm not either. But look on this fight, this card right here. Julio Cesar Martinez, one of my favorite fighters. This next Saturday against McWilliams Arroyo. Arroyo is 20-4. I like the little terror, the tiny terror from Mexico. Heavyweight Zhilei Zhang against Jerry Forrest. That's a pretty good fight. I want to see what's next for Zhang. When I'm watching Otto Wallin rounds again against Dominic Breazeale, at least Zhang has some power. I wouldn't say he's all that dynamic of a fighter or this and that, but I have seen him stop somebody. I have seen him touch somebody one time and get a knockout. Jerry Forrest, not my favorite heavyweight, but we'll see. And then the card does get thin after that. Diego Pacheco, I like him. I like Alexis Espino a little bit better. 2 super middleweight, young super middleweights, not even prospects at this point. Mark Castro back in action. And then the debut of Keyshawn Davis. I'll roll with that. I'm not gonna lie, I do want to see what it is. You can't Canelo next week is interesting if you factor in he's coming back on short notice and then plans to get in with that's what I will buy a lot of this stuff if you tell me what the long-term plan is. So for you to come back and take this fight against Yildirim, which again, he had to take that fight against Yildirim because that was part of him getting the WBC belt with his new goal of becoming undisputed at 168. What do you think is AJ's next move? I'll get to that in just a minute, Strike 7. But if you're telling me here's what we want to do over the next 6 or 7 months, I'm not going to get too mad at a Yildirim fight. If I know you coming back to fight BJ Saunders, like I said, I am interested in that fight. And then I also want to see how you handle this workload. When you've been comfortable 2 outs, up 2 times per year, and you have your schedule set, maybe you messing around with some vitamins and stuff, to help along the way. Maybe not. I'm just saying. But now you're doing some different stuff. I can buy into that. AJ's next move, man. I don't really have a clue, man. I tell you, I try to stick to what's on the schedule. I'm not a big, if I can't get no internship with Top Rank or PBC and earn some money for all of those matchmaking and establishing purses and all that stuff, I really don't get involved in all of that. We got to see, every week or every other week, Eddie Hearn still says we're 2 weeks away from announcing the fight. I'm on day 7 of this cleanse, man. And no meat in 7 days. Me and my wife on this 10-day cleanse, and we've done it before, but messing around with boxing and doing these live streams and then a podcast that I do and chasing down guests and all this stuff. And when I was traveling to some fights, especially fights in this region, brother put on some pounds, man. And so in 2021, it's not like Pay Me No Mind is taking off to where I can put aside my own health goals and fitness goals the way that I have. It ain't like, the Pay Me No Mind business is booming. So I'm gonna do this 10-day. I'm gonna finish this 10-day cleanse, and then from there, I'm gonna commit to this other thing. I'm gonna try to get back to my fighting weight. I ain't gonna throw no number out there, and I'm not even gonna be out. I ain't hitting nobody up with all the hashtags, vegan life, plant-based life, or yada yada yada. I ain't doing none of that, but I am getting ready to focus on getting down to some numbers I saw back in 2003, maybe even 2000. But at 5'10", I definitely got to get. I'm trying to envision myself in the high 220s. Definitely mid 235s. I feel like a whole new me. So this day 7. No coffee for a week though was rough. No coffee for a week was rough. AJ, man, I think we just got to see what's going on with this fight. It's literally, if we listen to Bob and Eddie, it's one of the few fights that can be made financially, the big fights that can be made financially. So I would imagine depending on what goes on. And that's, the COVID, the new cases or reports of new cases is coming down. The vaccine rollout seems to be happening at a decent pace. I mentioned that earlier, man. That's one of the interesting things with last night's fight is them to announce that that's the end of the bubble for Top Rank. And it got me to thinking, like, what else is on the schedule for Top Rank moving forward? And off the top of my head, they didn't announce the next move for Teofimo Lopez. Well, I'm not aware of anything that's really on the books for Top Rank at the minute. PBC, Darrell and shut it down. Chiron, I forget it was Davis or whatever his name is, I forget. But what is is boxing going to see some I guess outside of Texas and Florida? What's next? We had the Showtime fight last night with Broner and Santiago. What's next for? I'm hearing something about the Charlo card in June or something. And with Gervonta Davis possibly being on the same card, I don't know, but it looks like we could be in a holding period, until something is solidified. But I would imagine that AJ and Fury happens. It just seems like that fight can be sold somewhere internationally and they can get it done. And since they've been talking about it so long, I mean, it is something that I want to see. It is something that I want to see. That's about it, man. I really wanted to just come on. I thought I was going to stay on. I run into a problem because you just jump on to talk about the Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Week and then recap, the Showtime cards and the DAZN card with Avanesian stopping Josh Kelly. And then, I got a caller this week. He spent a pretty good amount of time on the line contributing to the show, contributing to the discussion. But then after, you put the video up and somebody scrolls by and sees that it was a 3-hour show. And now, people are less likely to click on the video and hear what I was talking about. So I shot myself in the foot. But it ain't like my wife wants to talk about this shit. So here I have sat for the past 3 hours. But that's, like I said, man, that's dope that next week is Canelo and Yildirim. I was checking the date again. I've been horrible with calendars lately, to be honest with you. And as a one-man show, writing, podcasting, trying to do some updates throughout the week, trying to throw the schedule out there. I've kind of fallen behind on that. And but that's dope that next week, we got again, Canelo, Martinez, Zilly Zhang, and the pro debut of Keyshawn Davis against Lester Brown. Like I said, Keyshawn Davis left Team USA Boxing, was one of the most promising fighters on Team USA. And for his lightweight fight, his brother, incidentally, is it Chiron? I can't remember. He actually fought on Ring City, USA, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I didn't even know he had a brother that was fighting. I think they got one other brother that might be fighting. But that's pretty interesting to have two young cats, making their pro debuts, within a few weeks of one another. I want to say he was, the other brother was 130 pounder, but he was tall as hell for 130. So it's some new faces coming in, and then they're not twin brothers, but I think that's pretty interesting to keep an eye on them. And also what value does this kid bring to the DAZN platform? Obviously, man, that's one thing that's kind of hurting DAZN is that young group that they came in with 2 years ago. Ammo Williams, Raymond Ford, Espino, Pacheco, Reshot Mati, White Chocolate, Nikita Bobby. All of these young guys that it's like rookies in baseball. They get the saying is prospects they get managers fired. Prospects get apps shut down because there's not going to be a influx of subscribers just to watch these guys with 3 and 4 fights after their name. But Davis, I do think it's interesting to see a cat start out on DAZN. But again, how many people know about Team USA Boxing? How many fights, how many fights is it going to take for the guy to, face anybody meaningful? It's tough just like any other startup. Why should people care? And we already, we got a lot of channels, keep it a buck. We got a lot of boxing channels who only talk about 4 or 5 people. We just happen to have a weekend where we have Adrian Broner. So some of these channels will come out and talk about boxing tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow. But on most weekends, the people who just fought aren't even getting the buzz on Monday on YouTube. So that's that. Well, it's been real. Let me go finish this smoothie and sit and be miserable with my wife with these, not being able to eat. Appreciated everybody that checked into the show. I see a couple of likes on here already. I appreciate that 3,000%. Next week, I'll probably get back to a shorter version of the Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Week. With Canelo being, that's another thing. Now that I think about it, another thing that hurts DAZN is outside of the DAZN world and outside of Sirius XM's Fight Nation, where they have the daily, midday or lunchtime boxing show with Ak and Barack. Some of that stuff does make it onto the YouTube channel, which is not behind the paywall. But where is the where's the coverage and the promotion for Canelo? Here it is, 7 days out. I haven't even seen an ad yet. ESPN, wasn't even any ads on ESPN last night. And I believe I saw it before where depending on where they try to put those ads, it's only a limited amount of information or something that they can put in them because of, it's a competitor. You're trying to take people away from cable and from the networks and whatnot. So anyway, I'm just rambling, man. Let me get on off of here. Bite Down. My name is Wood, R.L. Woodson. Check out www.bitedownboxing.com. Don't let them count you out. Pay me no mind. Sports and entertainment. It's always personal. The podcast available on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, as well as others. And then, like I said, pay me no mind. Sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. I'm out. Gotta work on this, man. We gotta get some fire. Sometime we'll work on it. Now that my face isn't up there, I can turn the music back up.